request a volunteer to begin our conference with a word of prayer, and thereafter we shall resume with a few alterations to our program, because our chief guest and our high-level delegation is not yet here. So we're going to make a few alterations. We shall have the youth remarks first after our opening prayer, and we think that after those remarks, our Minister of State for Youth and Children will be with us, the same with our Assistant Commissioner for Youth, and then we shall resume with the rest of the program. So I'm going to request anyone of us here who feels closer to God to give us a word of prayer and bless our day. Thank you.
Okay, let's humble ourselves as we pray. Heavenly Father, in the name of your Son Jesus, we want to come before you this morning. We want to say thank you for the far you've brought us. Thank you for the journey mercies that you're able to give to each of us up to this place. We want to dedicate whatever we are going to do from here into your hands. Father, may you be amidst our program. May you be the controller. May you take care of every person who is here. We bless your name for what you have done. We pray this in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Thank you, thank you. Now, without further ado, most of us may be asking, why do we need a youth conference on agriculture? But for your own information, I'd like to mention that the fact that we have 70% overpopulation made up of young people, and at the same time we have over 70% overpopulation engaged in the agriculture sector, there is no need to doubt the role that youth can play in transforming that entire sector. And part of the discussion that we're going to have today is solely going to look at not only the role, but looking at the opportunities. So we're going to be discussing value chains. We're going to be discussing value addition. We're going to be discussing policy and other legal frameworks that are in place to support youth to effectively participate in agriculture. We're also going to discuss issues of innovation in agriculture, because we know that the youth in Uganda bring a lot of innovation, bring a lot of ICT, and how can we harness the opportunities of the skills that the youth have to ensure that our agriculture sector is more productive and more profitable. We're also going to be talking about issues of financing. We're going to be looking at issues of asset accumulation for the youth. So on the panel discussion, we believe that you'll have a pen and paper to write some of those questions that you need to ask. We're going to bring the faces and the people who are making things happen in agriculture to you, so that you can have an honest discussion with them. You can have a one-on-one discussion with them. And we do believe that by the end of this conference, you shouldn't go back the same way you came. We expect that you'll have more knowledge, you'll have more exposure, and lastly, but most importantly, you will gain the network that you need as a youth, in business, in agriculture, to be able to make the next step forward. We expect that again next year, when we invite you, you will be giving us your success story. So the youth conference today is part of the building blocks that we are having as a country in ensuring that youth take their place in agriculture. So we do expect your full participation. We do expect that you listen in. We do expect that you engage. I'm going to request, in the interest of time, Fatuma Namutosi, who is the Managing Director of BFA Foods, to come and make some remarks. Fatuma Namutosi. Is she around? Yes, please. You can take on the podium.
Thank you.
But before she makes her remarks, I'd like to introduce you. I'd like you to know who she is. I also know that for example, she may not tell you her bio. She may not tell you her age. That is definite. but she's going to tell you what she does. We already know that Fatuma Namutosi is a lady. She's a managing director of BFA Foods, and she's the founder of BFA Foods Company. The company is based in Mbale district in eastern Uganda. She's a grant recipient of the Feed the Future Uganda Youth Leadership for Agriculture activity. And BFA is a partner with the Craft Project in the soybean value chain. Fatuma does not only talk about what she does, but she also demonstrates the love that she has for her business. So Fatuma, the floor is yours, and we're eagerly waiting for your remarks. Thank you.
Thank you so much. A poor man's activity, they call it. When you're in the community like where I come from, I'll say it in my language. They say, that's one statement. Those are things that statement is, this is what we usually tell you. They go to, actually he went to school, he even has a degree, but that's how he ended up. Because it is viewed as an activity for a failure, regardless of what status in terms of have smartphones. I wanted us to go to Google. Those that have smartphones. I wanted us to just search, put agriculture, and go to photos. Just put agriculture. Don't add any word. You go to images. The first image that comes tells a young person, can I afford this technology? This is a big chunk of land. Do I have access to such size of land? There is a third photo. Are we all seeing it? There is an ox plow. Are you seeing? Who can go for that? The young person will say that. There is another fourth photo. A young person will see this as something they cannot do. Let's go back. Let's enter farming. Only farming, don't add anything. Are we seeing the same photos coming up? The ox plow, and then the tractor. For you to be successful, you must have the tractor. But down there you can see a hoe, and on a hoe is an old woman. I think for youth. Thank you. It's for our other, right? Then I wanted us to enter the word celebrity. Only celebrity, don't add any. Kind of photos that are popping up, right? And the photos that we had in farming and agriculture. There are so many barriers in agriculture. It is threatening, it is a major threat to the young people engaging in agriculture. We have no access to land. We have no access to resources that open up big chunks of land that maybe our parents left for us. Above it all, we have no access to information about agriculture. Is not out there for us. There is a disconnection or gap between the young people and maybe agriculture institution, agriculture centers. I'll give an example of district extension services accessible to our. How? They cannot access. They find it very difficult to reach out to them. In the different engagements. Okay. Or they fear to actually access those places where we would acquire. We are talking to this agriculture background, and I know how we used to grow food, and selling that food was a tug of war. It's either we were paid less or we were pleading to take and pay us anytime they will have the money, but at least let the produce go. A young person is seeing that. And we are already portraying that even there is no market. This is not a lucrative business, and I'm not ready for it. In the different engagements we've had, all hope is not gone. We've worked with Project Uganda, and in the engagement, 3,000 farmers, over 3,000 farmers. About 40% of this number were young people that we directly worked with. How we worked, our model was in a way that we had the TOTs who were trained to reach out to the farmers. When we were selecting our trainers, we made sure we put the young people at the forefront. We wanted them to reach out to the community, but we also wanted their mindset to change about agriculture. So we gave them high positions in the extension services that we were giving to the farmers. They became the center, all the role players. They hosted demos. They connected the market who was that they can be access to market, they can be access to information, they can be access to resources. You can actually make money out of farming. The young people still do not know that the reason we are not able to make that celebrities make is because the quality of raw materials of produce we are putting of high value. So the market is paying what we are supplying. Different CS practices that we sensitize, especially the youth in, was just to show how do they improve the quality? How do they increase the crop yield? How do they maneuver through this changing environment, climate change? How do they maneuver? It is too hot. How will they still produce even when it's too hot? I know there are quite a lot of challenges on the way there. And that's what is important.
Hello.
This morning, I was trying to read different research by different people, and you can see there are different policies. And me, I do not see this as a youth conference. I see it as a movement. Because I know for sure every young person that is here is not going back the same. That I trust. How many of us young people are here? 1 acre of land, by show of hand. Are we using that 1 acre of land? And that is good. And that is good. But what is important is access. We really, really interested them. When they saw that after producing my soybean, I'm going to say I actually saw, oh, so there is market. When they saw that their soybean per kilo was not being priced or bought at the same price the ordinary. When they saw the different trainings we took, they were like, oh, so there is access to information. But how many BFAs are we in Mbale anyway? What's the population size of the young people in Mbale? But for us, we believed when we were implementing that we are creating ambassadors. The person who has access to information is going to go back as an ambassador. And that's why we made them trainers of trainees. Because the principle of continuing to reach out to their fellow young people actually continues. Thank Craft Project, because through our implementation, we were again able to be seen by another organization that I'm so happy that it's some of the youth groups. We had those that were independently youth groups. They actually came to us and they had also very good opportunities for the youth. But how will this young person know about this? You see? Access to information. The youth, we actually were tasked to mobilize those who were investment ready and those who had produced, actually supported by the organization, again through skilling, to add value to their soybean. And today I'm happy to report we have about over 200 youth who have been touched also by that organization, AVSI Foundation, SAY project. And they are adding value to. So we are very, very big role. What is your role? It's your role. Let's not.
Hello.
Until we celebratize agriculture, to recruit also the young, until we celebratize it. They usually have those questions they ask, oh, but when? I think it's now 8 years. But what does she have? They want to see what you have. Because most of them are going into music because they think music is a shortcut to work. We are not celebrating agriculture, and there's no way the young person is going to be attracted. But at least through our experience, we know there are bridges, and we have to capitalize on those bridges because the youth are ready. We've tried. We've gone in the different sectors thinking that's where good things are. But the good things are not happening there. And agriculture is not about people. It is here. Main employer, main everything. You want it or not? It is our entry point into the celebrity life. I have also a very big concern. In as much as the barriers are concerned. For the time we've been in the business, we've walked to those financial institutions for investment. We think we are investment ready. But you know, when you walk in a bank, they will ask you this question, and you won't even be able to answer it. What do you have? What is your collateral? But what does a young person own, really? What does a young person own? So that means we still have a very big challenge at the center right now. We need to open those big chunks of land. But how many of us young people are here and want to say they can afford that? You can see there are 2 hands. And we have about over 20 hands to 1 acre of land. But we appreciate that. But it is still a challenge. They will ask you for collateral, and that collateral has to be 50%. 50% of the money you want to get from the bank. So you end up, that's why they think young people don't pay back loans, because you get the money, the budget that you had, the money the bank has given you, and you reach, they squeeze you until you reach that point. Niweziba milioni 5 kabampe. So they give you that 5 million. It cannot do what you had planned to do with the money that you wanted the bank to give you. So you end up using that money inappropriately, and you even fail to pay back the money in the bank. And then there they put the youth. But the youth can. And for me, I think the time is now. The time is now because there is no other right time. We have to start now. We have to start now. Well, there are very many stories. You know of those. I know you are like, but why isn't she talking about these young people who when the parents give them land, they actually sell and buy the motorbikes and start doing border business? Why isn't she talking about? Yes, they are there. And it's what I said. The young people do not see this as an attractive venture. They don't see it as something that is going to pay them off. That's why they think that selling land and buying a motorcycle is much better. But I have to tell you that a big percentage of young people have tried that and have seen that it's not paying off. That is why you see back in the community, you'll even see them hiring land for production. When we worked with them, in their groups, they were even hiring land for production. But indeed, we saw that what worked was access to information. Is the information there? 2, is the market there? At how much? Am I able to conduct a cost-benefit analysis of my soya bean? Then I know this is how much money I've invested in and this is how much I will sell. They were very, very, very interested in farming, but as business, not the old conventional way of what? Of farming. So for us, these were very good experiences and learnings. But I'm here to say that that was not conclusive. We still have a long way to go. We still have a long way to go. But until we start seeing young people we call young people a burden, but until we start looking at them the other way around, like investors, like people who can, contribute a lot to the economy, you see, it's going to be hard for us to invest in them. But I'm here to tell you that it has worked. When BFS started, I think I was just 23 years. Today I am either 34 or 35. Either. Around it there. That will be a story for another day. But I was 23 when BFS started. And from it was an agriculture, it was an event like we exhibited and all that from nowhere. The ambassador saw BFA and they picked interest, and that is where our story turned. But if I had not accessed that agricultural event that was there, I wouldn't have been noticed. So the young people, mine to end with are 2 things, or 3. 1, the consistency. Togenda lima season yemwe ebintu bigano gambe nti I think ibihola tawe. Really? 1 season. We have those stories. Go for 1 season, know why it didn't work out. Maybe the practices. You used poor quality seed. You didn't plant in line. You did not maintain the crop. You didn't spray. Maybe that was where the problem was. We have to be consistent and we have to be persistent. And this thing requires a bit of sacrifice. It requires a bit of sacrifice. If we want quick gains, it's not agriculture. But I want to share with you today that for me, I'm here today because I didn't hide my head in the sand. I kept my head up there for people to see me. And that's why I'm here today talking to you. So you stand out. And you can only, if it's necessary, let that garden of yours even have a signpost. And let that signpost say, maybe Daudi's, say, I've been garden, what? Put those things that this other ordinary farmer will not put. To your garden saying, oh, they will know, in the community they will know your garden is somewhere. And this is what the garden is. Because that's your office. Put a signpost there. What I'm trying to say that let us, to imukeva tulabe. If we are, who is going to hear? Organizations, development partners, government is up in arms. The owner is unto us to make good use of the available opportunities. Tag yourselves. I can actually, do we have people from the east? I'm one of them. Eastern, Western, Central, in the north. Tag yourselves, they are here. When we go back, let's allow the young people to tag themselves on us who are already somewhere. Let me tell you, for me, what has even made my story much more interesting to the development partners is the element of allowing the young people to tag on the effect. Because if they can walk to a district and ask for any kind of support we need in terms of there who is not able to work in that office and ask the DAO that, oh, I'm requesting for your team to come and support my farmers in this. For us who have been able to come out, let us learn to allow these young people to tag on us. Ask yourself this year, how many more young people have I been able to support? Because the young people have no information, remember? They have no access to information. And you've gone to mobilize and you even fear the way they are looking at you, the way you're looking at yourself. For you, a farmer, now this one, what are they going to tell me? But we have to break that ice because at least we now know we need the young people need this kind of support. Teri walala. Let me mention this, but I hope I don't hurt anyone. Me, I've moved in this institution. But let me tell you, what's the government institution? Bogenda mwezo institutions. N'abaana babalala ng'aba basa. For how long? For how long? So it's better we wake up in arms and grab these opportunities. We need to grab them. I think the story has to change. The story has to be, we now need to have access to these opportunities. Twetaga information ni. Maybe let every nation have an information center. Omuvubuka amanye nti bwe mba njagala information. For the development partners that are here in the different regions, there are businesses now owned by young people, which I'm very sure with the kind of support you're giving us, we are able to reach out to as many more young people. Chisinga omuntu akwata millioni emu, nagamba nti kati eno millioni omanyi, tujitememu mirundi millioni emu buli omu bw'aba afuna mutwalo. How much money is that per person? Those are how many people? 100. What is 10,000 going to do? What is that money going to do? So for me, I end with, let us show up. Right? Let us show up. And also let us persist. Be consistent on what you're doing. And I must tell you, sky is the limit.
Colleagues, that hand clap is mine. Can we give Fatuma? Clear it out. Fatuma has mentioned three things: consistency and sacrifice. If we are going to earn big from agriculture, how do we make agriculture attractive for the youth? How do we make it cool? That is one of our homework. I normally am on social media, and there's a young girl who calls herself a slave farmer. I don't know whether you've interacted with her. Is she around? There's a young girl who is growing vegetables, and her Twitter handle is Slave Farmer Uganda. So she really interests me because she loves what she's doing, and she's not afraid to show it to anyone that she's earning from agriculture as a young person. You can make money from farming, increase your quality, and increase your yield. She also talked about challenges that youth face in agriculture, like access to land, access to capital, access to information, access to networks, and access to markets. I'm going to stop there, but also inform you that our guest of honor arrived, and if you are very inquisitive or you are very attentive, you should have seen her walking in. I want us to put our hands together for our Minister of State for Youth and Children Affairs, Honorable Sarah Nyirabashizi Mateke. You're most welcome. So without further ado, we're going to start our official program, and I'm going to request our Honorable to come and take the front seat, together with our Country Director for SNB, Ms. Fomolo Mafosa, a front seat, and our senior colleague from Minister of Agriculture and More Industry and Fisheries to also come and take a front seat. And when they are settled, we shall begin with the anthems and then proceed with the first part of our program, which is remarks and keynote address. Minister, I'd like to welcome you to this, which is International Youth Day celebration for this year, 2023. And this year's the Youth Agriculture Conference is focusing on bringing real faces of agricultural achievers to the youth, seeking to inspire them to engage in agriculture, but also increasing their networks to gain more information on financing, on value chains, to harness the opportunities that agriculture presents to the youth. I'm surprised that it's a half-day event. I expect it to be a full-day event because of the importance of agriculture to our economy, but also the potential for agriculture in increasing employment opportunities for youth, but also increasing their productivity and earning potential. So I'll recommend that maybe next time we can have a full day event, because we cannot talk about agriculture for only 6 hours. If we can have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and evening tea sometimes, I think that is the time that we should also devote to agriculture. I'd like to also mention that this Youth Agriculture Conference has been supported by SNV, and several of their partners are also here. So I'd really like to thank you for that. With those few objectives, I'm going to request us all to stand and sing the anthems. We shall begin with the national anthem, and thereafter
Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu. Uzalendo pia mshikamano viwe msingi wa umoja wetu, na tulinde uhuru na amani, mila zetu na desturi.
Now I'll introduce to you the participants for today's agriculture conference. We have several categories of youth here with us, including youth leaders from all parts of Uganda. And we are just going to show our presence by raising our hands. I'd like to request the youth from Eastern Uganda to raise your hands, or to stand up and wave to the minister, if you're available here with us. Thank you. The youth from Northern Uganda. The youth from Eastern Uganda. Youth from Central Uganda. Youth from Karamoja sub-region. Okay. Youth from West Nile. Okay. I'm going to request them from the West Nile to join the front table. The youth from West Nile, please come and join the front seats, because you seem very far away from us. And yet when we talk about sustenance of our refugee response, we need the youth in the settlements to really take up their role to ensure that they feed the families there, but also participate in sustaining our food, nutrition, and security interventions in our settlements. So you're most welcome. We can give them a hand clap as they come in. You can join that side. We also have youth leaders with us. If we have leaders from the National Youth Council, or any youth representatives, please stand up for recognition. Okay. If we have youth-focused civil society organizations that are working with the youth in agriculture, you can also please stand for recognition. Okay. Thank you. And lastly, we also have the media, because we talked about giving agriculture a youthful face. One of the challenges the youth have mentioned is that whenever you talk about agriculture, it's an old person with a hoe, and yet we want to transform that, to ensure that we put the faces of the young farmers, the faces of the young traders in business as a part of the images for agriculture. So the media fraternity, are you already standing? So we shall just clap our hands to recognize your presence. The Honorable Minister, as we proceed with the program, I'd like to now welcome Ms. Fomolo Mafosa. I'll not make an error again, mispronouncing your name, who is the SNV Country Director in Uganda, to make her welcome remarks and thereafter invite you to make your keynote address. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Can you hear me? Thank you so much. I hope you can hear me now. Yes, it's very exciting to be here. I feel as young as Fatuma. I think she has inspired us quite a bit. So as I start, I would like to first recognize a number of very important guests in this conference. I would like to recognize the presence of the Minister of State for Youth and Children Affairs, Honorable Sarah Mateke. Government representatives here present, including the representative of MAIF, development partners, members of the private sector, civil society, and the press, and above all and most important, the vibrant and inspiring youth of Uganda here present. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are gathered here to mark the International Youth Day, a moment of immense significance for Uganda's present and future. The theme guiding our discussions today is from COVID-19 and full implementation of the 2030 agenda, the role of the youth. If you've been listening, I think you must have been inspired by the talk that was given by Fatuma. I hope you were really inspired, because I was. And I'm really asking myself, how are we going to make agriculture cool, as she says? I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the Honorable Sarah Mateke, Minister of State Youth and Children Affairs, and other key representatives and development partners for gracing us with their presence. Your steadfast support and unwavering dedication to Uganda's youth deserve commendation. As we delve into the theme of today's celebration, let us not lose sight of the resilience, determination, and untapped potential that the youth possess. Agriculture is the cornerstone of Uganda's economy and the largest employer of our nation. The Uganda government's commitment is also undeniable, with at least over 110 billion allocated to the agriculture sector budget this year. Food security is currently a major issue worldwide, with as many as 811 million people facing hunger. Uganda, with its predominantly young population, has a potential not only to feed itself, but also to feed the world. The youth of Uganda play a crucial role in realizing this potential, and it is necessary to nurture the involvement in agriculture for the growth and prosperity of this country. So I would not say agriculture is a poor man's vocation, but I would really say if you want to get rich, you better engage in agriculture. Over the past 30 years, since 1989, SNV in Uganda has actively supported government efforts to establish resilient agriculture or agri-food systems that ensure food security, proper nutrition across more than 100 districts. Our organization's mission is to foster youth employment and entrepreneurship opportunities which align with the central theme of this event. SNV recognizes and supports values, the voices and actions of young people working towards a brighter future. So I hope, like Fatuma, we will hear your voices, we will hear your aspirations, you also share lessons with others on how you can actually make a brighter future within the agriculture sector. I have personally seen the potential of young people in this country. During my various travels in the region, I have been very fortunate to witness at first hand remarkable talent and innovation displayed by numerous Ugandans in the agriculture sector. For instance, in the West Nile region, the table around here, I've had the opportunity to see young people making business in the horticulture sector, in the apiary sector, in the poultry sector. In southwestern Uganda, where we have a large dairy project, I've also had an opportunity to see young people making a living out of value addition, probiotic yogurt, also being actors in the value chain, including milk delivery. So the potential is out there. The issue is how do you tap into that potential? We've also seen Fatuma from the Eastern region in Bale. She started at the tender age of 23. Today, she's almost becoming like me. Getting out of the youth bracket, and she has made it within the agriculture sector. So their determination and drive is an inspiration to all. However, it is disheartening to learn that, as the Uganda Bureau of Statistics reports, 41% of out-of-youth school youth in Uganda, out-of-school youth in Uganda are currently unemployed. This staggering statistic signifies an untapped energy and creativity that still remains underutilized. We must strive to attract more youth in the agriculture sector and create an environment that nurtures their success. By providing the necessary support, resources, and mentorship, we can enable them to unleash their full potential. How can we better attract and support people, young people, to succeed in agriculture? This is a big question for today. And I hope as we ponder around this, we will share experiences of how to make it better. Yes, we've been criticizing of actually showing images likening agriculture to be an old people's vocation. But as I've said, as we see, the whole room is full of what? Young people. And young people who are actually in the agriculture sector. How can we do more? How can we encourage more these young people to continue? Firstly, as development actors, including Honorable Minister, I would say it is crucial that we allocate resources towards modernizing the farming techniques, towards granting access to technology, towards responding to the issues that have been indicated as challenges. The issue of land, access to land, access to information, access to equipment, access to markets. All these things have been said already, Honorable Minister, by young people and fellow development actors. The other big issue is about access to finance. How can we unlock credit for access to youth? And for those actors in the financial sector, I would say if you are looking for good business, you can find it in the agriculture sector. This is where you can find young people who are ready to make what? Who are looking for the resources. But then how do we make those resources accessible? How do we remove the barriers that will ensure that young people are able to access finance? That is a key question and a key challenge to us all. I am also proud to announce that as SNV, we have taken a significant strides towards supporting young people. We have prioritized partnerships with youth-led agribusinesses like Befe, and if you look outside, you'll have an opportunity to also interact with a number of agribusinesses that we are supporting. In this, we've also bolstered their skills, technical and financial management capabilities, and also supported them in accessing local and international markets through programs such as CRAFT, the program that is led by Bashi, our project manager, focusing on climate smart agriculture. We've also supported projects which are related to youth skilling in the West Nile, and I think I've seen Abraham, he could also raise his hand. Again, from the West Nile, he is supporting this program with the rest of our teams. Then we've also supported other projects in the dairy sector in the southwestern region again, where we are trying to see how we can bring in the youth to be able to be active participants and leaders in the agriculture sector. This support has led to meaningful employment and partnerships, and we can say we are able to celebrate this success today. I urge you to continue listening, to participate actively, because you'll hear all the different aspects that are coming through from the youths who are actually participating, whom we are supporting in these sectors. So I would urge you to continue working together to bring information and services closer to the youth. We must also forge platforms that bring policymakers, young people, individuals who can nurture collaborations and dialogue like these ones to ensure that the voices of the youth are heard and their needs are met. Again, I would like to express gratitude to the Honorable Minister who is here, and also the various actors who are here, especially the youth. And I urge you that as we continue our deliberations, let's make sure that we come out as a changed individual, we come out as an inspired individual. And in conclusion, let us remember that investing in our youth is investing in the future of agriculture. Let's empower our young people to thrive in this sector. I thank you. Now I have the privilege and honor to invite our guest of honor, the Honorable Minister of State for Youth and Children Affairs, Honorable Minister Sarah Mateke.
The Country Director for SNP, representatives from Ministry of Agriculture, representatives from Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, the development partners that are here, the youth delegates, youth leaders from across the country, Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. These people are breaking my name. I'm Nyirabashitsi Sarah Mateke. I know they are all fearing to pronounce that long name. Member of Parliament representing the people of Kisoro. Kisoro is southwestern of Uganda, bordering DRC and Rwanda. And the Minister of State for Gender, Labour and Social Development in charge of youth and children. And I'm very glad that I'm here this morning talking about youth and issues to do with agriculture. I want to welcome you all to the Youth Agriculture Conference, a gathering that celebrates the remarkable resilience and potential of our young people. Today, as we stand united on this platform, we mark a significant milestone in our journey towards realizing a brighter future for Uganda. Let me take this opportunity to thank SNV for organizing this conference and especially talking to youth on issues to do with agriculture. This year, our International Youth Day is under the theme of accelerating recovery from COVID-19 and full implementation of 2023 agenda, the role of the youth. As a beacon, shedding light on the indispensable role of our youth and what the role they play in driving the recovery process and propelling our national and nation towards realization of its development objectives. Ladies and gentlemen, as we celebrate the youth this week, we need to access the strides as government and partners we have taken empowering the youth of this country while shining a spotlight on the obstacles and issues confronting them. It seems I missed that lady's presentation. It was very good. I came when it was ending. I am particularly pleased that SNV and other development partners have joined Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development to provide youth a platform to share their experiences and for us as leaders to listen. I specifically appreciate that this conference is focused on agriculture, a sector that is very critical to the nation's economic development that offers immense opportunity for youth participation. Distinguished participants, the government of Uganda recognizes the importance of agriculture and is working tirelessly to create and provide opportunities for its citizens, including the youth, to participate in this sector. One of the initiatives is to support this goal in the parish development model, which aims at having 17.5 million Ugandans from 3.5 million households out of poverty. PDM, or parish development model, provides opportunities for young people, especially those in agriculture, with 30% of the PDM specifically reserved to benefit the youth. And of course, we have not, PDM is just coming. We have already been having the YLP in place. We have been having WEP. Most youth don't want me to talk about YLP because they took the money and they have failed to pay back. Now even PDM has come. I pray this time when you take it, you'll pay back. But even those who got YLP, please pay back so that other youth can also benefit. Government has also put in place structures and programs to boost youth innovation, not only in agriculture, but also in other areas. The National Youth Council provides an elaborate structure from village to national level to enhance the youth capacity building, innovation, and sustainable involvement in social, economic, and political spheres. We also continue to support our young people through enrolling many of them into other programs such as the one I've already told you, YLP and the WEB program, with the goal of growing agribusiness skills and improving livelihoods. We also have the NADS, National Agriculture Advisory Services, under Ministry of Agriculture. I hope the gentleman from Agriculture will talk about it, plus Operation Wealth Creation. These are part of government's team taking care of this sector. This is a clear indicator that agriculture and agribusiness is top priority on the country's development agenda. Under NADS, government is transforming households with various services, including provision of inputs and extension of work service. The result is that farmers are becoming commercialized. However, it has been noted that women are the most active in this sector, sustaining it up to 58%. The youth are still elusive, and we need to attract them back. Maybe because when we were growing up, they used to think that the only punishment they can give us when we're in primary is going to dig. So we grew up with that mindset, thinking that when they tell you to go to the farm, that means it is very bad, it's a punishment, you're a wrong person. So we have to change that attitude. Of course, part of that is the attitude and the mindset change, since agriculture is mostly considered to be the activity for lorry and, of course, the less educated. The youth have mistakenly ignored agriculture, thinking it is unfashionable. Government is working towards changing this through mindset change programs, and I believe we shall succeed. Recently, in fact, I wanted to tell the country director for SNV that when we come to these conference halls and we talk, at times people do not believe us. I would have loved this talk to be in a place where we have youth who have been successful in agriculture. Then you can know what we are talking about. Recently, I was in Ruwero and Nakasongola. In Nakasongola, I found young men who came together. They finished school and could not get jobs. So they benefited from the Youth Livelihood Program. And for them, they decided to buy bulls for fattening. And I'm telling you, they are very far. You cannot reach them. After buying the bulls, fattening, 1 year, each one of them now has his own farm. They are now fattening, and they have paid back our money so that it can also go to others. So I found when the money they had divided, one of them had bought 10 goats. Now he has 150 goats. There are people with successful stories. I think next time we get out of these conference halls and we go to the field, I think we can speak better from there. Then I went to Ruwero. Ruwero, I also found a group of young men. For them, they decided to go in pineapple growing. They told me, for us, we didn't have land. As youth, we don't have land. So what we did, the money you gave us, we decided to rent out land, buy seed, and then we decided that we are going to work for ourselves on the farm. We don't need other people to come and work. And I'm telling you, they have now reached very far. Each one of them has his own land. They have built, and some of them were very proud to tell me that we have even married. So I believe that if this talk can be said, or we sit in a place where we have these successful stories, the youth can get what we are talking about. Distinguished participants, in order to maximize potential opportunities, it is essential to equip our young individuals with the appropriate skills and knowledge. As government, we have set up regional youth skilling centers all over the country where youth are encouraged to attend and receive training in various skills. In addition to that, we also have a place or a policy of BitVet that is aimed at encouraging skills growth within the young population of this country. I therefore take this opportunity to request our development partners here present to contribute towards the programs that enable young people to obtain skills, especially the out-of-school youth, so that they can become successful entrepreneurs, skills that inspire their creativity and help them unleash their potential. I also call upon all our partners to collaborate with government and invest in customized programs that empower our youth. For the youth here today, I urge you to harness the opportunity this conference is to provide. In this rapidly changing world, opportunities are often intertwined with collaboration and knowledge exchange. Seize this moment to not only enrich your own understanding, but to forge connections that can open more doors for you. I want to tell you that those who have not tested, by the way, how many of you are in agriculture? So that I can know those I'm talking to. You have all tested. I happen to have met a young lady who went and mobilized these youth who normally snatch your phones here in town. Those who are in Kampala know them. The lady mobilized all of them, carried them, and went and trained them on fish ponds. I found these guys very well. Then they told, but you know, there is no way we can manage to live in this Kampala. The only way to manage is to steal your phone. After stealing your phone, I survive. If I don't steal, I will not survive. So when this lady took them there, she has really organized them. I found when they had dug 56 ponds, it's not very far from here on Mitiana Road. And later they told us, now we have finished being trained. Where do we go? We don't have land. We have got the skill. What next? And someone sacrificed to give them some land in Luwero. And they are doing well. Young youth. The youth who are ready to change, I believe that we can change. It's just the mindset. Even those who are thinking that survival is from stealing, you can see that now they are moving. It is just the mindset and attitude. I believe one day, CNV, we should go and visit them. Then next time you take there the youth, those who have gone to school, and they see that even those who never went to school, who are depending on stealing, can now change and also become very rich people. In conclusion, let us remember that the seeds of progress we plant today will bear the fruit for generations to come. The road ahead may be challenging, but with resilience, determination, and passion that I see in this room this morning, I have no doubt that together we shall overcome. Let this conference be a stepping stone towards a future where Uganda's youth are not just agents of change, but also driving force behind it. Thank you so much for listening to me. I take this singular honor to open this Youth Agriculture Conference for God and my country.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Can we give her a more youthful hand clap? Thank you for those remarks. She mentioned that 30% of the parish development model funds are ring-fenced for the youth. But she also mentioned that in YLP, 70% of all the YLP-funded projects were agro-based projects. And the same with the Uganda Women Entrepreneurship Projects. Most of them are agro-based projects. So it really demonstrates government's commitment in supporting the youth in closing the financing gap. Now, according to the program, this is what we are going to do. Like I mentioned, we have a full-day exhibition. We are going to walk out. We're going to be led by the Honorable Minister and our country director and our official from Minister of Agriculture. To the steps, we are going to take a photo. After that photo, we are going to go and have a cup of tea. And while we have a cup of tea, we are going to do the networking. And this should take us around 30 minutes. So after our cup of tea, we are going to come back here and have our roundtable discussion. So I'm going to request the Honorable Minister, the country director, and our dignitary, and all the youth, please take care of your personal possessions as you go out for a group photo. And from the group photo, on the steps, we are going to go for a cup of tea. And after that cup of tea, we are going to return back for our panel discussions. Thank you so much. Let's stand up and move much quicker. Request us to reconvene in the interest of time so that we can continue with our program. We're expecting presentations from 3 youth, Mr. Okello Isaac from Little Joint Farmers Cooperative, Edna Abigaba from Kagira Food Center, and Miss Akelo Fiona from C&D. Miss Akelo Fiona, Miss Edna Abigaba, and Mr. Okello Isaac, if you are around, please come and occupy the front seats. Mr. Okello Isaac, please come and occupy the front seats. Miss Abigaba Edna and Miss Akelo Fiona from C&D. Colleagues, if you look at our program, like I mentioned, we're already behind time. But what we know is that we're on time for our panel discussion. I'm going to request the following panelists to join this panel. Mr. Dennis Ochaya, who is the SNV Supreme Project Manager. Mr. Dennis Ochaya, please take your seat on the panel. I want to request Ms. Jackie Arinda, who is the CEO of Jada Coffee, to also join the panel. Mr. Tumukogeze Stephen, the proprietor of Darling Coffee Limited. the MD, kindly make your way. I'm also going to request Ms. Akulu Jacqueline from Equity Bank to join the panel. And lastly, Mr. Oki Joseph from Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries. Okay, Stephen. Mr. Dennis Ochaya. Thank you, fellow panelists. So we have a very engaging and experienced panel. And like we said, one of the issues that we're going to discuss are some of the issues that are affecting the involvement and participation of youth in agriculture in Uganda, but also looking at identifying the existing opportunities that are in our country in as far as supporting the youth participation and also profitability in agriculture is concerned. I'm going to introduce our panelists in no particular order, but I'll begin with Mr. Dennis Ochaya. Dennis is a monitoring and evaluation specialist. He works with SNV on the security, protection, and economic empowerment in bracket Supreme project, which is being implemented by a consortium of World Vision, ZOA, Rice West Nile, and SNV. This 4-year project is funded by the European Union and seeking to increase access to decent employment and economic opportunities for refugees and host communities in the districts of Moyo, Obongi, and Madi Okolo in the West Nile region. Dennis, you're most welcome. I expect to get a clap from... I also like to introduce Miss Jackie Arinda. She's the CEO of Jada Coffee, and she uses the term AKA or Madam CEO on our social media platforms. She has been in the coffee industry for approximately 4 years, leveraging her expertise in media and marketing. And Jackie is striving to establish Ugandan coffee as a prominent player in the global market. Her company, Jada Coffee, specializes in selling coffee beans and grounds that are ready to be brewed, and the primary objective is to enhance the livelihoods of farmers. And when we talk about farmers, it is me and you. It is the youth. It is not the old person in the community. We're talking about us, youth, as farmers. So Jackie Arinda, you're most welcome. I would also like to introduce another panelist, Mr. Tumukugize Stephen. He's a youth entrepreneur and founder of Darling Coffee Limited, located in Bali, in Eastern Region. He's a graduate of accounting and finance and a coffee quality specialist who, after working with Ubora Specialty Crops in 2017, discovered the big gap in domestic consumption of coffee. So he started Darling Coffee in 2019, and since then, he and his team of 15 staff have grown the company and are currently working with 215 farmers from the Mount Elgon region with 3 youth farmers groups, and they train and source specialty dry parchment. Stephen has been recognized and awarded as a national youth champion in the Youth Inspiring Youth in Agriculture initiative by FAO and MAIF. He also participated in the AVSI Business Agribusiness Challenge Fund and emerged winner in the Eastern Region category, where he was awarded with an espresso machine that he now uses to brew coffee at functions. I'm glad, Stephen, that you didn't take this machine home. So Stephen's future goals are to establish a youth coffee incubation center in the Eastern Region by 2027 and establish 5 distribution centers across the country by 2024 and employ more than 15 youth by 2025. So Stephen, you're most welcome to the panel. We also have another panelist, Mr. Okay Joseph, as a Senior Agriculture Extension Coordinator, working in the Directorate of Agriculture Extension Services at Ministry of Agriculture and More Industry and Fisheries. He has 13 years of experience in agriculture extension, and he has a Bachelor of Science degree in agriculture extension. Yes, please. A master's in agriculture extension. Okay, thank you. Stephen also happens to be my old boy, so I'm glad that I'm moderating a panel with someone I know so well. So Stephen, you most, Joseph, you're most welcome. We also have Ms. Akulu Jacqueline, who works with the Equity Bank Uganda, and Akulu Jacqueline is responsible for managing Equity Bank's youth empowerment initiatives. She possesses a lot of skills in business startups, operations management, marketing, customer experience, and data analysis. We know that Equity Bank is one of the rapidly expanding banks in Uganda, and it has specific credit packages for youth, especially those in agriculture. So, Ms. Jacqueline, you're most welcome to the panel. The panel cannot be complete, definitely, without questions. So, I'll directly go to the questions for the panelists. I'll begin first and most importantly by asking a few questions to Mr. Oki Joseph, who sits at the ministry working at promoting and increasing the productivity of our agricultural sector. And I really want to know, how can government, first of all, facilitate the integration of youth in decision-making processes related to agriculture and rural development? Over the years, we've seen a number of strategies being developed. We've seen a number of policy actions. We've also seen a number of projects and programs being developed by the Ministry of Agriculture and More Industry and Fisheries. So we really want to know, how do we ensure that our youth, who are farmers, who want to participate in agriculture, are part of these decision-making processes?
Hello? Hello?
Yes, please.
Yes, hello. Yes, once again, I'm from Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, especially from the Directorate of Extension. The question coming is, how do we ensure youth in decision-making in agriculture? Maybe I don't know whether I should first give an overview to this, or you want me to get straight to the question? How much time do we have for this question?
You are at liberty to give us a background and then delve into the question.
It is good to appreciate that, you know, agriculture employs quite a high percentage. Some say close to 70% of Ugandans are directly employed in agriculture. But out of those, also close to 70% of that are actually youth. And then of the youth that are employed in agriculture, approximately 90% are classified as poor youth. Meaning that the bulk of the poor people in this country are youth. And they're supposed to support the backbone of the economy. So youth are really, really recognized and important in agriculture, and we actually consider them in our decision making. But that's why I asked how much time we have to actually tackle this question. But let me just start from wherever I can, start from anywhere. I'm sure the answers will fit in somewhere in this question. We have a national strategy on how to engage youth to be gainfully employed in agriculture. That was in 2017. We have a national policy, which is a national strategy for youth engagement in agriculture of 2017. So the ministry already has a policy framework in which we want to engage youth in agriculture. And there are very many thematic areas that we focus on in order to see that youth are fully engaged. You see, at the end of the day, irrespective of whatever policies we come up with as a country, irrespective of whatever plans you come up with on paper, if the future is not catered for, then it is a waste of time. It can only be a successful failure. Because you will succeed with the people who are now, and eventually when those people get off the active labor force, it's the youth who are going to come on. So the youth have to take it on. So it's the youth who hold the future. And Uganda is one of the youngest countries in the world. We have a very youthful population. Way above 60% of our population is below the age of 30. And those are majorly youth. So it will be very catastrophic if the bulk of our people who are employed in keeping the economy alive are not engaged in this decision making, and then later on they do not understand what is going on, and it is their time to take the bull by the horns, and they are purposeless. They don't have a vision, they don't have a reason to do what they have to do. So it would be very, very catastrophic for us to move on like that. I know today is celebrating the youth, but many of you youth here are actually parents. Probably your parents your children are still young. I also have children myself, though I escaped the youth bracket a few years back. But you know, in whatever that you're doing, you're planning and hoping that your children will carry it on. But if by the time you're becoming a little bit slower with life, your children are wasted and are not carrying on with what you are doing, and they don't appreciate any of the vision and the investment that you made in life, believe me, you will die a very frustrated parent. But that can also happen nationally if the nation does not focus on the young people that have to take it on. So what is our greatest resource as a country? Our greatest resource are the people that have to carry that future. All these other resources that we have, whether they have it underground oil, whether they have it on the surface agriculture, whether they have it in the air, whatever resource that you have, it's only one generation away from being wasted. One generation goes wrong, and the whole resource is wasted. We're seeing this happening in the northern region, where a generation of youth did not grow up in an ideal environment because of the war. That is why we appreciate the work of partners like Craft and many others who are engaged in uplifting the youth in those regions. Because with that one generation gap, a lot of things can change. Development can go down, mindsets have already been twisted, perspectives are already wrong. So all that has been done can be reversed by one generation. So with the policy, with the strategy, it's actually a strategy, because a strategy implements many other policies that Ministry of Agriculture has. And even as a nation, we have NDP 3, which guides the whole nation. Then we have the sectoral strategies, which now take us on. Agriculture, right now we're on agro-industrialization program, which we're doing through the PDM approach. Now under agro-industrialization, that is the banner that we carry, and that's what we hope to see as Ministry of Agriculture. Then we have other policies like National Agriculture Extension Policy. We have other policies like National Agriculture Policy of 2013. Then eventually now we devised the strategy for youth engagement in agriculture. Are you following the story? I know I'm speaking a lot of policy here, but later on we shall break it down and we shall just be interactive. So now this policy has a number of themes in which we can engage youth. Number one, we're talking about ensure enabling environment for employment of youth in agriculture. What does that mean? It means it should be tailored to suit and to fit and to excite youth to get into it. Packaging. I know my colleague here in the banking sector, they appreciate the corporate image of packaging. Somebody here talked about Google. Google the word agriculture, and what do you see? How we package agriculture, how we give agriculture information, and the view that we give towards agriculture, as government, we want to give it an image that will be enticing enough for our youth to appreciate. Because realize the energy and the pressure in which the world is in right now. Things have to be exciting. It has to be exciting. So we can no longer just make it look like it is a form of punishment in schools. We don't make agriculture look like it is for those who have been defeated. It is for those who don't have a purpose in life. So an enabling environment for gainful employment in agriculture along the value chain. We make sure that a youth can be able to get into contracts. When people are supplying many of these items that they did under NATS or WC, many youth were actually given the opportunity to supply, to get into gainful employment, open up nurseries and do things of the like. And even under other projects like SCDP, some of those inputs that were supplied by youthful people. So Ministry of Agriculture makes sure that we engage youth in gainful employment. Community-based facilitators were also engaged in especially a project like SCDP, where I wanted some people to support in extension service delivery, to guide farmer groups, to connect them to markets, and to use their energy profitably. Then supporting youth-oriented extension. Agriculture extension is a very interesting thing. Agriculture extension is the packaging of agricultural knowledge in a way that people can understand and use it. And knowledge is power. But incidentally, most people imagine that agriculture is what they call jua kali. Jua kali is a Swahili word for saying you just do it anyhow under the hot sun. But agriculture is not jua kali, it's technical. Many of you who have tried agriculture realize that you don't just wake up one day and then you just go and do it and things happen. You may not make a lot of profit. So it is very technical. So knowledge has to be packaged in a way that the youth can appreciate and understand. Youth are always on WhatsApp. Why don't we also form up WhatsApp groups? Why don't we also use the internet? That's why we have the e-extension application, where anybody can just type a message, even as we are right now, send to 6120, ask a question, and then the question reaches there. And as we perfect that system, somebody will just see your question and answer it back on your phone. So we take the opportunity that most of us are now engaged with our phones and put in ICT and package it well. We are also looking at improving education and learning. Education and learning, skilling the youth. There are training programs in many of the technical institutions, and even with the non-state actors that we work with. We encourage them to get onto training and just call on the youth and train them. We are not, what is the best word? We are not being segregative against the others, but sometimes in a training session where there are only youth, there are other exciting activities that might keep them more alive than if you're training them with the older women, with the older women in the group, with the old men who might appreciate a certain style of doing things. Yet we need to also capture the youth to appreciate this. So we train our structure, the structuring of our training through our extension methodologies should be appropriately adopted such that even the youth can be able to understand and see the excitement that there can be in agriculture. Then entrepreneurship support. Now the youth are a kind of people who are energetic and find life exciting. And I don't want to speak about youth like a unique species of human beings. All of us were at one point youth, or we are going to be youth, or we are youth. So we all know the excitement that comes with it. You're excited, you're visionary, you're energetic. But that does not mean you're not intelligent. You're actually intelligent. So the word youth should not be stigmatizing to you to make you think that you're naive. You're not naive. You're actually intelligent and brilliant. And it is the desire for passion to drive life forward, to gain purpose and do something that will influence life. So that excitement and zeal should not be taken to be, I don't know how appropriate this word, it should not be taken to be as foolishness. But it can be steered and guided to a great purpose. Maybe I could just steer off a little bit in a minute if the MC will allow me. How many people know that Alexander the Great died while a youth. At what age did Alexander the Great die? Do we all know that? He was below 35. But you've seen all sorts of pictures of Alexander the Great, probably that, illustrations that they draw an old great king, an old man or something like that. That is not the correct. Check your history, you can even just Google. He was a youth and is in history books for being a genius and conquering a lot of Europe. So indeed, there's a lot of potential, and that drive should not be lost. So when it comes to entrepreneurship, we try to target the things that give immediate results along the value chain, value addition, some of those value addition technologies. At that point in time, you want to see quick results. You're still, in a language that they use today, you're still broke and busted. You're looking for a mate, you're a young man, the ladies are around, you can't start telling them I've planted mahogany, so I'm going to harvest it after 40 years, then I'll come and marry you. No. You want kagwira wo, that's what they say. They say okuyiriba. Eh? Where is the money? you don't start telling people about your 40 years of mahogany, which is a good thing. But I'm saying, you see the focus of the youth? Now you can tell a 40, 50-year-old man that, you can plant trees and wait, or you can do this, but the youth need that immediate cash. So we look at focusing on supporting them along the value chain in entrepreneurship. That is why in many of these projects where there's value addition, even at the Center and Ministry of Agriculture, when they're giving inputs or supporting farmer groups, we make sure that youth groups are integrated into that, and we give them value addition equipment. Then finally, mitigation of business risks. Because of that excitement and energy, a lot of business risks exist. So there must be mitigation of those risks. When you have a lot of energy and excitement, your chances of crashing and crashing hard are also high. Though your chances of success is also high. That is why also we engage the financial institutions to be able to support youth groups, to be able to support them in their businesses, especially when they work in groups because they don't have a lot of collateral. So the question of how do we ensure youth involvement in decision making is not a question that I can say can be answered easily. But it is straightforward. They are involved in every aspect of it. When we're developing this policy, we actually consulted a lot of youth in 2017. We work with many of the players and engage them to understand this. In implementation of all our strategies, we have seen when in PDM, implementation of all our strategies, the youth are key and they are involved.
Okay. Thank you so much, Joseph. Let's give Joseph a big hand clap. Now let me turn to Dennis. Dennis, you've been supporting implementation of youth-led agriculture projects for some time now. How do you think agriculture can be presented as an attractive and viable career option to young people? And then secondly, what type of resources do you feel are crucial for youth to successfully engage in agribusiness?
Thank you, fellow panelists and youth who are present today. Yeah, it is an interesting question and a broad question, which we have to be honest to ourselves and avoid sugarcoating when we are answering this kind of question. First of all, I want to say this before I go straight to the answer. The youth in Uganda are disproportionately affected. In fact, to be more precise, the youth have unique problems. And if we are saying they have unique problems, we need to pay attention to those problems. And one of those unique problems that the youth are possessing is the issue of youth unemployment, which even if you go to UBOS statistics, which clearly states that it is very high, the employment we are talking about is not sustainable. It is just for a short period of time. It is very rarely that you find a youth who have been working for at least 2 years non-stop without breaking down. And most of the enterprises that are started by youth rarely celebrate their birthday. Just celebrating a birthday 1 year is very rare for the youth-led enterprises. So now, it brings us this question of the potential in the agricultural sector. So how can we attract the agricultural sector? Some of the things were already mentioned, but I just want to emphasize this. If you're a youth in this room, raise up your hand. I want to ask you the question, do you know where you want to go? And if you know where you want to go and you have a challenge, I always say this, start the journey. If you want to go on a journey, but you do not have transport money, start the journey. I don't know whether anyone is hearing the message I'm trying to pass. In other words, to be more precise, we need to professionalize agriculture. Why do I say so? We have been doing agriculture like a luxury, just waking up. That's why even my other colleagues have been talking about the way we are packaging agriculture is like for the people who have failed in life. It is time we professionalize it. Why do we need to professionalize agriculture? Because we need to be more resilient. More resilient in the face of adversity. Because the road in the agriculture sector is not straight. It is full of challenges. The climate change challenges we're talking about. Now, if we are doing agriculture as if we are moving on a straight road, we need to be adaptive. Why do we need to be adaptive? If we are not adaptive, or if we are not disruptive, we are going to be the disrupted. How many youth in this room are disruptive? How many youth in this room are innovative? To be honest, we are not innovating. We are not thinking. We are not thinking in a creative way. And it is time we need to be disruptive. Otherwise, as youth, we are going to be the disrupted. We have seen the opportunities for technology. The country director for SNV earlier mentioned the need to modernize agriculture. This is all we are talking about. Let me give you one example of greenhouse. A greenhouse has the potential to generate up to 100 million Ugandan shilling in a year. How much does it cost to construct a complete greenhouse? On average, about 10 million. And this is a challenge I'm giving to the government. We are talking about PDM model of 100 million. How sustainable is that? That's the question. This is one tip I'm giving to the youth, but also to the government. The greenhouse, 100 million every year, if managed well. Incomes and revenue generation potential. And just an investment of about 10 million to set up a fully placed greenhouse. This is what we are talking about, modernizing agriculture. The other one, in terms of modernizing agriculture, to make young people, our youth of these days are modern youth. We are not in the age of Stone Age. That's why we need to package the agriculture in a professional, in a modernized way. Another way of packaging agriculture in a modern way is the use of low-cost irrigation. Let's not talk about the expensive one. The low-cost irrigation, which we are talking about practicing agriculture off season. I can give you an example of northern Uganda and West Nile region, where there is plenty of water bodies like rivers that run throughout the year. But when you go near this water body, you don't even see any irrigation which is low cost happening. And they are not utilizing any, for example, vegetable production. And the result is importation of agricultural foods from even other regions. But we have the potential to produce beyond survival. Beyond survival means beyond subsistence. And if we cannot irrigate, even using the available natural resources that we already have, then the youth may not be much attracted to the agriculture sector. So let us start modernizing agriculture now. The other one is in terms of the equipment, the other equipments, like we are talking about the use of oxen, but we have the potential to move away to other equipment like the tractor. There are now tractors that can be friendly, youth-friendly, even women-friendly, and they're cheaper. This can attract the female youth into agriculture if trained, if provided to them. So investment in the equipment is very key. The other one is I want to bring the aspect of the peer-to-peer learning, or what we want to call the knowledge exchange and learning. My fellow youth, to be honest, we are not learning. There are youth who are doing wonders outside there. Go and look at what they are doing. Go and interact with them. They will tell you a story that may change the way you look at agriculture. We are seated here, and the minister, the honorable minister, talked about a number of stories she learned when she visited youth in Luero. If you go outside and see some of the things that your fellow youth are doing, you will change your attitude and mindset towards agriculture. Have the interest of exploring. In Uganda, youth are very comfortable where they are. They are not interested in learning. And that's a very big mistake that we have. Most people are very comfortable in what they are doing. They could be doing it wrongly, but if you move to other parts of the country, if you move even to other communities within your location, you will be able to see some of the things the youth are doing, and you are struggling with it. So you come back and replicate, or you learn something unique that you can do differently. The other thing which I want to mention is the power of the extension model. My colleague, the extension specialist, I want to challenge you. We in Uganda are underutilizing the extension services. The extension model, we are underutilizing it. It has the potential to transform agriculture in the rural settings. That is why even SNV, in its model of working with the private sector, at the back of its mind, is aware that we can transform that extension model because of low knowledge and skills among the rural farmers' youth. We can transform this by the climate-smart agriculture practices. We can transform this by practicing those resilient approaches so that we can attract more youth. And finally, access to credit and finance. How do we make this possible? Of course, the enabling environment in terms of the policy. There are a number of them, but let us remove the adults. And as youth, package yourself. If you are going to ask for finances, but you don't even have a simple budget. Somebody was asking a youth, how much do you need to start up your own enterprise? The youth is not even very clear about that. How do you expect to be awarded finance if you do not even have a simple budget? Even begging, you have to package yourself. You don't just beg anyhow. So access to finance also need you to package yourself in order to ask in a better and organized way, in a network, in a group. And that would make us produce and sell more, even beyond Uganda. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis, for those deep, in-depth explanation on some of the things that we can do to make agriculture an attractive and viable sector for youth to participate. Now, let me go to one of us. Let me go to Stephen. Stephen, we've mentioned greatly how it is hard for young people to go into agriculture. How did you get involved? And what are some of the challenges that you faced as a young person entering into the sector? But also tell us briefly, because we've known that you're working with young people. What challenges do you see working with young people in agriculture as a leader?
Thank you so much, Mr. Moderator. Before I move forward, I just want to air out my complaint to the organizers that there's something I discovered during the breakfast. Yeah, she knows where I'm. Yeah, when you're serving us breakfast, we are promoting basically consumption of our own products. And I noticed that Africana, Hotel Africana, big as it is, it's still serving us Nescafe, something that is, I can talk about in another minute maybe. So we are promoting domestic consumption of coffee, that is it. And I feel so happy when I find fellow Ugandans drinking their own produce. It's actually what gives me a lot of pride. So going to the question, the challenges that I faced basically when I was starting, to take you back to my simple profile, I am a graduate of accounting and finance from Chambogo University. I found myself in Mbale from actually in around 2017. I was working in a local processing company where I discovered great opportunity, especially when it comes to the domestic consumption of coffee. By then, Uganda was still in the 8th position. Yeah, right now we're in the 7th position of producing coffee, but our domestic consumption has never gone beyond 6%. So it really gave me the motivation, like, how can I add, how can I contribute to this? Because first of all, during the COVID era, you saw very well, when we could not export anything, you saw how farmers and exporters were actually struggling so much. So one of the biggest challenges I found, of course, the fact that I had a different background, that's accounting and finance, however much I had an entrepreneurial mind, it was a bit of a challenge venturing into something that I had less knowledge about, but backed by the passion that I have for coffee. I am popularly known by my friends as a certified coffee addict. I drink about 4 cups of coffee a day. So I didn't have basically like a center where I could go and do more research and learn more about coffee. But that was a challenge which I took on. From that time, from 2019, when I ventured into coffee, I decided to venture and learn as more knowledge about coffee as possible. And until I got also another opportunity from the AVSI Foundation, where I got more skilled in coffee. And right now, as I'm speaking, we are setting up a private coffee laboratory in Mbale. That is going to be the first actually in Mbale. So if you are a coffee exporter or you're planning to source coffee from Mount Elgon region, because for coffee exportation right now, you buy coffee depending on the quality, that is the cup analysis. We analyze the coffee, we get the flavor notes, we profile the coffee, the cup score, and then you can sell your coffee knowing exactly the kind of quality you have. So that was one of the challenge was that, the limited information I had by then. Then second, of course, the infrastructure, the finances, basically. For some of you who might have little knowledge about coffee, especially Arabica coffee, as I'm speaking right now, for you to have a capacity of trading 1 metric ton of coffee, you need about minimum of about 18 million. So if you get a market of exporting a full container, you need between 350 to 400 million. As a youth who had worked and saved for over how many years, it was really a very, very big challenge for me to stand. But as I told you, backed by the passion, I had to get away, basically. I'll not get so much into details of how I accessed the finances, but one thing that I can add on, basically, when it comes to the finances, which happens to be one of the biggest challenges many of the youth face currently, as one of my other panelists stated it, that we are one of the most entrepreneurial countries in Africa. We are about, I think, the 7th. So, but when it comes to the businesses growing, a lot of businesses, almost 80%, do not see their second or third birthdays. One of the factors, of course, is most of the businesses learn the business management skills. When it comes to people eventually want to get into a business that they have seen someone succeed in without first learning the basics and the metrics of succeeding such a business. I usually say that when you venture into a business that you have no knowledge about, it is potea, it is like gambling. It may work, it may not. But if you have knowledge about a certain business, you always know a way of navigating. We saw what happened during the COVID era. Many of us, especially the startups, we had a lot who died out. But because some of us had known that, yeah, this is what is happening, this is what I can do to stay in business, we ended up surviving. So the element of business knowledge, basically, is what is killing some of business knowledge, and business management skills is what is killing most of the businesses for the youth. And also when it comes to financial accessibility, you find that most of the financial institutions here, they are speaking of youth packages, but when you to go in detail, you'll find they'll ask you for assets of someone that has worked for 50 years. So that is a very big challenge, that the youth have not been favored so much when it comes to financial accessibility. Okay, maybe the last one I can talk about also.
Yes.
Because you said the challenges of the youth that
yes,
I have worked with.
As a youth leader,
as a youth
working
leader,
with youth
one of the biggest challenges that I've found in our youth is the mindset, basically. Someone mentioned it, that the youth want quick things, kagwirao. I think it is the reason why we are falling victims to many scams. I don't know if I have victims of BLQ here. So, of recent, I saw a post on social media. They were asking 500,000 monthly salary and 5 million startup capital. Which one do you go for? I was seeing a very big number of the youth saying, I'd rather go for 500,000 monthly salary. Like, we are in that generation whereby when it comes to hustling, like being, sacrificing for something to come to your benefit, very, very few youth are willing to do that. They want quick returns, which is a very big challenge currently. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Can you give Stephen a big hand clap? I hope that most of us can really associate with some of the challenges that Stephen has mentioned. Now let me go to Jackie. Jackie, we've been talking about hustling, and we want youth to hustle in agriculture too. They are hustling in fashion. They are hustling in entertainment. We want them to hustle in agriculture because we know that agriculture is highly earning. I want to inquire from you. I want to ask you, as a person who has established their own business and run business over time, how would you view the role of young entrepreneurs in driving innovation and growth in the agricultural industry? And secondly, what mentorship and training opportunities are available for young individuals interested in starting their own agribusinesses? Now, if I were a youth, I would listen attentively, especially on the second one, because we know how training is very expensive. We know how training opportunities are inaccessible. So we really want to know what are some of those mentorship and training opportunities that are available for young individuals.
All right. Thank you so much. I want to congratulate everyone in the room for turning up for these events, because you're 1 in a million. Out of the 70% of the population, I think you're 0.005 that have attended this event. So it makes you different. But the moment you step out of that room and you have not learned anything, I think the people that stayed home are better than you. So ensure that before you leave this room, you either have a new contact or you have something new that you have learned from today. Number 2, I want to congratulate the partners and organizers for organizing this event. Why? It answers the question that I've been asked. Very often, I used to tell people that when I hear anything about youth empowerment, women empowerment, I know that is a lot of English for nothing. But attending more of these events, it's when I realize that there is a lot to learn. There is a lot to learn. So if you're sleeping, please wake up and listen to these people. Note them down, their names, note down what they have said. It might not make sense today, but when you go home, make it a habit of going through your day and asking yourself, have I learned something? Another challenge. So now, I had organized for your presentation, but somehow, due to time issues, I won't present it. But what are the opportunities there for the youth? I must start by saying, and you'll forgive me, I don't know how much time I have after these gentlemen have spoken. 1, how many of you have your business plans? And business plan can be 1 page, by the way. You don't have to think that there is a professor somewhere, a research company that is going to do for your business plan. How many of you know how much money you need? I know you have been asking access to money, but how many of you, if I stood up in this room with my fellow panelists here and we raised maybe, how many are we? I think 5. And we say we are raising 50 million right now and we are giving it to someone who has a business plan and a budget attached to it. How many of you would take that money? By show of hands. By show of hands. Now, imagine, those are, oh my God, where are my women? Wanji? No, raise your hand high. If you're looking for money, if they say money, you put up your hand like this. There's nothing like this. And that's how you miss up on opportunities. Because even when they call you, you're like, oh, why should I go there? Then the deadline. How do I make sure that before the deadline, some of you even complain, Tabo, your government, it's a family issue, but you never even submit. You have never even knocked on that door and they deny you your proposal, entrance, or anything. So first of all, before you look for opportunities, the question is, are you ready? Do you have everything? Now, when everything, some of you think they want very many documents. No. Me, I have submitted my proposals to any company. Sometimes I force myself. They say, this program, I hear it's for people in cocoa, or I'm like, I just submit for coffee. And somehow, they called me. They're like, you had a very interesting idea, but we are not in cocoa, but you first come. Now I become a proposal. Before you know it, they start looking for people in coffee. And guess who is number one? Because I will tell them, I'm the one who even gave you an idea of a coffee. So there is no way how you can kick me out. So rule number one, you must knock on all doors. Force yourselves in those rooms. You can't have a government official here and you don't ask them those questions, but you will go on social media and make a noise. Government here, no government. They are here, ask them. There is Equity Bank. Ask them. What are the opportunities there? What are the products? What are your services where I can fix myself in? If they are talking about English, tell them that that's a challenge. I didn't go to school, but your programs are in English. Do you have a package for me? Before anyone tells you the opportunities, you must be able to see your own opportunities. I love border guys. They say, awomba mpiseo. Yeah, abakoze. See a gwa muragira gwe do they call them passengers? Ozungu wange sirwa na magunga. I went to somewhere in Imbara. So, ogenda okumugamba nti ngakoze eki? So, before I tell you where the opportunities are, first ask yourself, nti, where are the opportunities? Why no kuraba no gamba nti wali? I think there is an opportunity there. Because you're the person that knows your business. No one knows your business better than anyone. Era gwa manyi future yachi? Ya business yo. That is why it is important. I asked that young man, and I'm going to sponsor you. I asked the young man, he has a beautiful table there. And he said he's working with a big company. Thank you. So I asked him, do you dream of employing yourself? And he said, yes. And I said, what would it take? He smiled. And I was like, hold on, maybe the English is too much. Then I'm like, how much do you need to start up this business? To start. And when they say to start, tebagamba nti otandike ne kalina, sijui ina office, red carpet, big table, employing 50 people. That's the problem with young people. I call myself Madam CEO. And when I ask people, you want to hire people like 50 people, when you ask them what is the employment, what is employment to you, they think it is having a bodyguard, PA, then you have around 50 staff, like the way you see them in the movies. I'm glad I'm here with fellow entrepreneurs. Gwabera CEO, gwabera COO, nobera marketeer, nobera chi, buli kimu gwatukola ki? That's how you start. Start small. So I asked him, how much do you need to start? He said, you see, to start a business. I said, no. When you're given an opportunity, don't start gambling around. No gamba at all about business. Just say the figure. And that's how we miss up on opportunities. Someone asks you, how much do you need? Then he smiled. I said, okay. Have you thought about it? He said, yes. Then when you were thinking, what did you think? Wagamba nti gwe yagala kufuluma weetandikireko business. Some of you, that's how you enter into business. You just say, I think nyingire flowers. That's it. You stop there. Then you enter flowers. That's when it rains at the same time. Akasana ne kakuba. Then you are like, nawulidde? I think coffee. you enter coffee. Like that. You become a tourist. Every business wajikolako, but other people are in that. So when you're thinking of starting a business, think deeper. So I asked him, he said, around 5 million. I said, did you have the budget? I look at it. He smiled. Then I said, when you're ready, look for me. As I walked away, the gentleman never said, let me have your number. He said, okay. Now I asked myself, and many of you're laughing, but these are actual facts that when even the opportunities are there, agriculture has told you the programs they have. I'm sure Equity will tell you, the bank will tell you, but you don't go for them. You don't grab them. So I told him, when you're ready, look for me. Somehow the gentleman, after I think 20 minutes or 30, he was like, Madam, I'm sorry. I said, never apologize. You have done nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong in doing mistakes, okay? There is absolutely nothing. You're young people. You're supposed to make mistakes. Own them. The difference is that when you make mistakes and you play a blame game, I'm poor because my parents, I'm poor, government, ojiraba Museveni, government ya Museveni abantu bakigagaludde gwe mwavu weka. You are talking about family members. Some of your family members are rich. Bazijawa. You're saying I'm a woman. You see, I'm a woman, I have a funny husband, but you're mine a funny husband. Wali. Ochitegera. Oli muvubuka, and you see, for me, I'm paying for my siblings. People have paid for their siblings and have become better. So stop blaming people. But look around and say, how can I be better? So when the opportunities are there, the question is, are you ready? Now let's look at the agriculture sector. Motivation and inspiration. Let's look at the facts. 1, you must register your business. If you want people to give you money, Tebakulimba registration in Uganda, and the people who are here, I'm not more of a government person, registering a business can take you even 2 days or a week. I'm telling you, I'm volunteering to register your businesses today. I'm volunteering. If you find a challenge with URSB, today is what, Tuesday? I will register your businesses. Come to me, I'll be there for about 20 minutes to Tandike. We register your businesses and we see. You must register your business. There is no one that is going to give you money. Ntakugambe ntinze cash zizno nga business tetegerekeka kati gojiddukamu. Yeah? Register a business and it's little money. Little money. Muzisobola. But you have already maybe admired their good hair, ogenda mu saloon that perfume, bano batutuuzizza wano mpulira nkooyewo, kuba business yo mu maaso g'abantu bagitegeere. Bwe bate bagula bakole ki? Naye kasita ogikoze ki? Make your business or your company visible. Me, I work with my cup. People be like, but Jackie, why do you work with your cup? I work with my cup everywhere. And the moment I introduce myself, I will say, Jada Coffee. Oba omunywa, oba tomunywa. And I will tell you why. How many of you know Cristiano Ronaldo? By show of hands. Yeah? Now you see by show of hands how many people are participating. Babuza, how many people know? How many? I'll put my hand. That's how you miss on opportunities. There is nothing wrong. Be confident. How many of you know Cristiano Gamba? Baba was sent. Go again to Kolachi. Na egoli. Then badioke bagambe to was sent to dukeyo. Teba just zikuwa. So, Cristiano Ronaldo nze oba asambira Arsenal oba kinenze manyi nti Cristiano Ronaldo ali mu kapiira. Nkimanyi akola ki? Asamba mupiira. Ebyeyongera kwawo byammwe. Why? Because he made himself visible. If I want to go into sports, then I will know whether he was playing for Manu, he went to Dubai, Middle East simanyi team. Now what I'm trying to say is that make your company even visible to people who are not your clients. What does that say? Nti bw'oyingira mu banka n'ogamba nze Jada Coffee, eyo security yeeyogerera bagamba eyo company tugimanyi ate nga tebagimanyi bisingawo naye bagamba ono tujja muwa ssente company ye tukoze eki naye gwe oli ne company gwagimanyi wekka n'ab'ekika tebagimanyi. And you think you will go to the bank and get? Banka nayo eri awo enoonya abali visible nga tonagamba ttaka balina agamba where are you located? The moment you enter and they say tumumanyi ekyo kiba kitegeeza naawe osimbyewo ekibanja yaani yeggwe. So make your company visible. And then now I want to tell you something about agriculture. You don't have to do anything. My name is Jacqueline Arinda. I'm the CEO of Jada Coffee. We work with very many farmers. I think now we are going to 8,000. But here's the thing, I don't own a coffee tree. I don't. I do not own a coffee tree. One, I'm a woman. Ewaffe bawa abavubuka era ne moderator wamulabye yasoose basajja kwogera. Era ali kumpa okukungamba gwe komaawo. Fe abakyala tetutera okufuna ki? Opportunities. So I had to know that, you know what, I don't have land. But where can I tap? I wish they could play for you that picture of the supply chain, the value chain. Now, I said, I'm not a farmer. So what can I do? Can I market? Yes. So I'm going to buy this coffee from farmers and then I sell it. Why? Because in marketing, I can speak my good English. Ate ndabika kuona obulungi nti nze nsobola okuyingira room. Farmer gyatakola ki? I was in Serbia. I was part of the team that escorted the president to Serbia to look for the coffee market. Now, how many farmers can go to Serbia? So, if I can do that, I can enter those rooms where farmers are not. Let me also play my ntitolina kutandika buli kimu gwe nobeerawo n'ogamba nze farmer ate nze value addition ate nze. If you want to start that, then that means you have enough money. Because in agriculture osobola okutandikira awantu wonna ate and you excel. That's what I'm talking about of starting small. Nti n'ogamba nti nze kantandikire ku value addition wenkola ki? Wensobola. N'ogamba nti nze kati I think ndabye farmers abeewaffe. For you, you've boarded, you've come to Kampala. Some people have never come to Kampala. N'ogamba I have access to Ekikubo. Ekikubo, I think they should dim the lights and you see. Now, you see all these stages in our value chain in coffee. You can put them in your different companies. There is the growing stage. There is the picking stage. There is the processing stage. Now, each stage has something that you can provide. You don't have to be a farmer directly, or you even have to be like, I saw there is a company selling equipment. No gamba kangene mu Kikubo, or let me come to Kampala and I supply the farmers. No tandiko kuyigiriza farmers. He said they have extension services. Now you ask him the biggest challenges farmers have. Baja kugamba nti extension workers. Okubafuna ku district oja kusanga womu, but yet you're here. Olemedde Kampala ng'essente ziriwa? Mu kyalo. So in this entire chain, noonya w'okola ki? Naye bw'ogamba nti gwagenda you look at all those processes. Sente mudidi. Bye babalimba n'ogamba gw'ogijja growinga, gwa pickinga, gwa processinga, gwa roastinga, gwa kola ki? Ezo sente. So look for something small and give yourself room to expand. Bw'olabanga growing, otegeddewo bulungi, you can cross to another stage. As I wound up before the moderator takes it all, I want to remind everyone in the room, I'm a social worker by profession. I have a degree. I ended up in the media to look for food. I never got any job in line with my profession. But I'm a coffee entrepreneur. Now, some of you might assume nti okusoma ky'amaanyi. Bw'oba olemeddwa okusoma, bw'oba okusoma kuganye. Nze ndi wano okujjukiza nti Twina government wano, twina ne Ministry of Gender and Labour, bakuwe statistics of how many people went to school and are employed by their profession, like nti doctor, ndoza tujja kusigala ne ba doctor ne ba engineer. Abasigadde, they will tell you that yasoma bigundi ate ali eno. Look at even our ministers. Osanga minister ali mu ICT, ate nombuuza ebya ICT ng'olaba takola ki? Tabitegeeza. Kitegeeza ki? That in Uganda you can survive in any sector. Number 2, the market and opportunities. 1, market your product within your family, within your friends, within your circles, and ensure that everyone knows your market. But if your friends cannot trust you with 20,000, I wonder if a bank will. Bobo manyinto osaba gundi n'omugamba mpaayo ebiri n'akugamba gwe Jackie si kukakasa. Just to know that the bank will not give you. So if you want to raise money, before you rush to the bank, before you rush to the government, ensure that ne social capital, nti mikwano jo, basobola okutrustinga n'emitwalo egi. Nti even when they say those cash rounds, baba biyita butya? Those cash rounds. Kweli saako? Cash round bino ebibiina. Yes, I was looking for that word. Nte ekibiina bagamba tugatteko Stephen. N'owulira oli agamba Stephen oyo tasasula. N'ogamba nti munnaaye Stephen ajje ku dduuka lyange ajjewo ebintu ajja kunsasula next week. Ne bagamba nange ewange yajja teyakola ki? Nkulayirira ne bw'ofumba bitya tebijja kujja. Make sure that the people around you, you're treating them well. Bino ebyokulya amabanja n'otasasula n'otandika obbagamba omwana yalwadde tebikola. So make sure that your people can trust you with the money, and banks and government will trust you with their money. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Jackie. I think we are going to have a deeper session with you, especially after today's meeting. Lastly, let me go to our colleague. Obviously, we've talked about financing and how it's a very critical challenge to the youth participating in agriculture. Now let me go to Jacqueline. First of all, what financial products are available to support youth-led agriculture initiatives, and how can they be made more accessible and tailored to their needs? We've had a lot of issues concerning the language being used, English, yet we know that we have over 16 local languages in Uganda. How is the institution transforming to ensure that we increase access to information about available financial services and products for them? But also secondly, I want you to talk about the issue of financial literacy and entrepreneurship training. What are financial institutions doing about it? It's easy for you to provide the loans, but we've seen that credit facilities have been misused because people are still illiterate, especially on issues concerning how to manage money. Money is a big problem. It's not a problem if you don't have it. But if you have it and you don't have knowledge on how to use it, it becomes a very, very big problem. So respond to those before I open up the discussion to our participants.
Thank you so much, moderator. And I'm so glad that you invited us to this discussion, because we have answers to almost all your questions, because we have actually been offering most of these services that you've been seeking for. And as a bank, Equity Bank has, in the whole of Africa, we have what we call the Africa Resilience Plan. The Africa Resilience Plan is a key focus for Equity Bank Group that is working towards improving agriculture through financing. And with that background, we have so many products that have been tailored to address the needs of the agricultural sector. Specifically, for the youth, we have key thematic areas that we've been working on. And just a brief background of Equity Bank's operations. The bank runs on what we call two engines. We have the commercial arm of the bank that is in charge of conducting the financial operations, and then we have the social investment arm of the bank. So under the financial arm of the bank, there are so many tailored products, like we have what we call the equity agribusiness loan product, the green enterprise financial product. So under those different products, our customers are able to access financing for their different enterprises to grow. Now, under the social arm, we engage in so many projects under the agriculture and many other sectors like health, education, energy, climate and environment, social protection, and so forth. So in those different, under those different pillars, we have partnerships with different players in the economy who we partner with to see how we can be able to increase access to finance for different populations like the youth, young women, the refugee communities, and all those that are less privileged in terms of financial access. So in that regard, we have those products like Equimama. It's a product that is for women who have challenges with collateral, and they are able to get a financing of up to about 5 million shillings with flexible collateral terms and so forth. And then also through our partner like MasterCard Foundation, we have under a strategy called Young Africa Works, a strategy which the program targets on skilling youth, women and refugees to be able to improve their incomes through financing. And through the partnership, the financing that we offer to those groups have been made affordable through guarantees from MasterCard Foundation. So the payment terms are flexible, and youth are able to actually access financing of up to 5 million shillings without guarantee, a collateral rather, and all they have to do is submit their guarantees, business plans, and so forth. Now, what I would like to also make clear is that the bank does not finance people who are just dreaming of businesses. And I like the points that previous speakers have put across. Show us that you are doing it. We want to finance someone who is doing it, not someone who is dreaming on top of their bed and saying, I think I should go and try this business. We shall not give you money, because there are so many people out there who need that same money, and for them, they're already actually doing it. So we are willing and very much able to support you if you're already doing the business, and you're showing us that you have the potential and passion to grow your business. And our major focus is scaling up those enterprises that you're engaged in. We don't want you to remain at the same stage. That's why we continuously would like to finance your enterprises so that you keep growing and see you transform into big enterprises. Would one day be so happy to associate with one of our youth who through the program have grown and transformed the world. So on that note, I would like to also implore you who are here in this room that I know you're representing so many communities out there who do not know that they actually can get financing from the bank because of the old perception that communities had about the bank. They think that you have to have a necktie or be dressed somehow or speak in a certain manner to be able to access financing. Please let them know that the bank, as long as they have an enterprise running, and especially the youth, under the program that we are running currently with MasterCard Foundation and the youth under the Young Africa Works strategy, they are able to access financing, I said, of up to 5 million shillings without collateral. Encourage them to come and take up this financing opportunity to grow their business. And when you grow, and you need more than 5 million shillings, because by that time we assume that your collateral has grown, we can give you financing above 5 million shillings as long as you provide some collateral, because now your business has grown. So please do not shy away. Take the message to your communities and please encourage them to come, because you need to grow your business. You can't remain at the same point. And then aside from that, as my previous speakers mentioned, the world today has a lot of environmental challenges, climate challenges. And because of that, the bank also tailored climate smart financing for different options that are available. So in certain seasons, you may want to probably grow a certain crop, and it's so dry, you can't even water your crops. We have financing for climate irrigation technologies, and we have partners who have certified reliable products that we can link you up to obtain those products. We even have what we call asset financing. If you're in your groups, wherever you are in your communities, you can acquire an asset like a tractor for the group, and all of you rotate around and utilize it through your group. You can obtain financing for such asset, because on an individual basis, you may not be able to acquire it. So I would like to implore everyone, please take up these opportunities. Do not shy away from the bank. And Equity Bank has 50 branches in the country. So in all our branches, we have staff who are able to serve your needs and give you details of the options that you can take up. So the other question that they asked is about financial literacy and entrepreneurship development. Now, the bank has been, for those who did not know, through a pillar called Enterprise Development and Financial Inclusion, been offering free financial literacy training for all its customers who are in groups. So you have access to that training, and even after this session, please register, and I'll hand over your group names to the trainers, and they'll come and train your groups in your respective regions, because we have financial literacy trainers in the different regions who are skilled to give your groups training on financial literacy, so that you know how to spend your money, how to budget, how to save, how to grow your business, and how to manage your business. Please don't shy away from that opportunity, because it's there, and there's no cost attached to it. It's for free. So take it up so that you can see a transition in your business. With that regard, unless there are more questions, thank you.
Thank you, Jacqueline, for those wonderful responses. Colleagues, let's give the panel a big hand clap. Now, the panel cannot be complete with only the questions that were preset by the organizers. We would like to hear your questions. And with questions, I'm very particular. When you have a question, you raise your hand up and you say, my question is going to this panelist. If you have an addition, please, I'll request that you're going to make the addition at the end of the panel. Is it okay? Yeah. So with a show of hands, I'll request my colleague Maxine. We're going to begin with the lady.
I have a very quick energizer which will take us a minute. It will help us think as youth, even as we ask these questions.
Yes.
Now, I have a 3-year contract that I want to give somebody. A 3-year contract. I pay you 10 million a month. That is what you take every month. Every month you have 10 million. Simple work. The other contract is, they are all 3 years, 36 months. The other contract is, I give you 1 shilling as salary. 1, not 10, not 5 shillings, not to be 1 Ugandan shilling. For the 3 years, but every month, I keep doubling it. If I gave you 1 in January of the first month, remember there are 36 months, I give you 1 shilling, next month I give you 2 shillings, the third month I give you 4 shillings, the fourth month I give you 8 shillings. Which contract would you take? By show of hands. How many want 10 million every month for the 3 years? 10 million every month for the 3 years. How many of you would go for one Ugandan shilling every month and doubling? A quick one. Let me give you the mathematics. If you get 10 million every month for 3 years, that is 360 million, isn't it? 300, it's good money. It's honestly good money. If I give you 1 shilling every month and I'm doubling, in the first month, I give you 1 shilling. It looks useless. The second month, it will be 2 shillings. There's nothing you can buy in Uganda with 2 shillings. In the third month, I'm giving you 8 shillings. Still useless. In the fourth month, I'm giving you 16. In the fifth month, 32. Seventh month, 64. Eighth month, 128 shillings. The ninth month, 256. The 10th month, 512. 11th month, 1,024 shillings. By December, your salary is 2,000 shillings. You could be busy 2,000. This one now of 10 million, he has got 120 million. He's driving a big car. People are hanging around. He's in social media. He already has 120 million. You have Nkumbi Biri, 2,000. Your Christmas even you can't spend. On the 13th month, it is now 4,000. 14th, it's 8,000.
The 36th month?
Up to the 36th month. Let me first take us now to the 3rd year. It becomes now 16 million. By the time you reach month 36, it is 32 billion. 32 billion in that 1 month. And the month before, month 35, it is 16 billion. And before that is 8 billion. What's the illustration of this story? Start small, dream big. So somebody who started off with 1 shilling for the 3-year contract and doubling every month will actually end up with about 40 billion in 3 years. And this one will end with 360 million.
Thank you. Thank you, Joseph, for that wonderful illustration. Colleagues, I want to see the hands raised because we have the technical people here and we want them to respond to some of your unique questions. We know your experiences are unique, so we want you to bring them to the table. Yes, I have one, at least 5. Yes, the gentleman. Okay, Maxine, please. The
Thank
name
you.
first, and then either your group or your company.
Thank you so much. My name is Rosemary Zawete. I'm the Vice Chairperson for Young Farmers Association, a Champions Network. I'm also the maker of Rosemary Organic Hub. I grow and add value to rosemary, the whole value chain. So for all the farmers in Uganda who are dealing with rosemary, my name is Rosemary Dealing with Rosemary, working with all those people. I started with a candle. I went to a simple sealer. Currently, grants have been able to come in and we've been able to mechanize. But I'm one of the many who are out there. I want to talk about the issue, the challenge of professionalizing agriculture. And my question goes to the gentleman in the middle who has given us an assignment on the growth of monies. I run a company called Start Young, Prosper Young Limited. So when you register, currently, Uganda has a professional connivance. Yeah? Like if you're going to open up an account in the bank, you must have a postal office number, you must have registered with URSB, but if you're into production, actual production, you must make sure that you're with UNBS. UNBS will have to come and do surveys at the beginning and come back every 6 months, but you must have paid, okay? Before they come, you must pay for the samples, and then sometimes they fail you. How many times? You go to URI and you pass, and then beyond that, before they come back for the next one, you are supposed to pay for their visit. Beyond that, time can elapse and they tell you the time the system has elapsed, so there is no way you can make it through, and then you pay again. So with our leaders around, How can we be able to work together with young farmers? You're saying that people's businesses are dying out before they make their first birthday. But that whole circle cannot make somebody who is not resilient stay. How can we work together given the policies we have, the good environment we have? How can we make that connivance benefit all of us in the circle? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much. My name is Lame Kujungu. I am from Gol, Uganda. I just have two questions that I want to direct to Equity Bank. You talk about access to financial services, and I want to bring to your attention that it's a big challenge, more especially for young people who are living in rural areas. And we are talking about agriculture, which is heavily practiced in rural areas. I know the government of Uganda has introduced agency banking model, but it's really taking a very slow pace, more especially in engaging young people who are in rural areas. I don't know if Equity Bank is trying to enhance that so that there's a bigger reach to young people who are living in rural area. And then maybe another quick one will go to the panelists from MAIF, still connected to access to financial services. The age limit for a young person to really fully make decisions in regards to financial inclusion is from 18 years old. But we are talking about a lot of youth out of school. And then there are some, I happen to interact with a young person who is doing very well. He's 15 years, and he shared with me quite a very painful story. He doesn't actually trust the guardians to maybe open an account in the bank, get access to the bank, and wouldn't want to get connected at all to save the money in the bank. But this is a person who cannot, open an account. So maybe that could also be another policy areas of discussions, more especially from the government ministry, to see how best to adjust on the age limit. Thank you.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. My name is Ilakuto Hassan. I come from the East and from Pikwi Farmer to Farmer Cooperative. We do sunflower production and validation. My question goes to the Honorable Minister. I heard him talking of the youth. I would like to know the criteria that you have borrowed or the criteria that you use for identifying youth when it comes to policy formulation. Then what kind of youth do you bring on board to participate in the policy formulation? Thank you.
You speak the fifth.
Thank you very much. My name is Daniel. I work with Youth Alive Uganda. My question goes to the gentleman from MAIF. I'm aware that you're currently implementing the oil palm project, which is being scaled to a number of districts and sub-regions, and would want to know, as an entity, what plans do you have to engage the young people, not only when it comes to engaging them as laborers in these plantations, but engaging them as farmers themselves, as outgrowers, so that they benefit from this. And then the other is about, this is across to government, the environment when it comes to practicing some of the innovations that we have. What I've seen is that government is very supportive to investors, give them tax holidays, give them access to land, give them access to finance. Sometimes they even come to issues. As government, what plans do we have to ensure that young people have the same benefit and we do not tax them at the very beginning of their innovations? And then lastly is on dissemination of the opportunities that government has. Recently I was in Karamaido, and Karamaido Technical Institute has installed equipment I think 10 billion. And there are no young people there. People do not know about the investment that government has put in that area. How best is government going to ensure that as we invest in value addition in some of our areas, we make young people aware and how best they can participate? For example, you talk of Soroti Fruit Factory now. They do not have the raw materials, and yet Soroti or Teso sub-region itself has a number of fruits and they're getting to waste. And young people could benefit from this, but they are not there. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. By average, I think the questions are going to two panelists. So for this first round, I'm going to request Joseph and Jacqueline to answer those. And then in the next round, I would like at least questions going to Jackie, Dennis, and Stephen.
All right, thank you very much for those questions. Let me see how best to address some of these issues. The first one talked about systems and regulations that are in place. How it bogs down, so much red tape, this has to be done, go to UNBS, come to MyEF, go this way, go that way. And sometimes it is frustrating, I totally understand that. Systems can feel frustrating. But remember, there are standards that we ratify to as a country, and even globally, there are standards that we have to ratify to. Now, definitely, you might meet certain individuals at individual level who might frustrate you, and those are people that you should expose. If somebody is frustrating in a government system, you go for your document, come back tomorrow. I've gone for lunch, it is 2. At 5, no, I've already gone home. Let's see next week. Don't call me after 5, yet you have been seated in the office from 2 o'clock, and the askari is chasing you away. You know, all those frustrations are indeed there. But regulations are not meant to frustrate. Regulations are meant to streamline and harmonize certain standards. For instance, right now, if you want to export things out of Uganda, initially you would just go to Export Promotions Board, maybe, and maybe the trade people, you are and clear your things, and you go and export. But now we're requiring that Ministry of Agriculture is also engaged to make sure that you have the right equipment which meets certain standards which can enable you to export. Now, exporters are crying and saying, why are you making the process longer? You're frustrating business. But remember, when you take things to Europe, we give what we call a phytosanitary certificate. To simplify that word, it means that the plant material or the export item is clean enough and free from certain pests and diseases. If we don't give it when they capture it there, they send a notification to the ministry. And out there, the unfortunate truth is this. It is a dog-eat-dog world. People don't care and have sympathy for your product. Because you're in Africa, let me just take your coffee even if it's lousy. Because I'm helping them. Bambi, they are poor. You know, let us support them. That is not there. They will dump your product. And if they see any worms in your mangoes or things like that, they'll intercept them and destroy them at your cost. Notify your country. And inform your country that if you don't stop sending us this maybe this hot pepper, which has maggots in it, we shall hunt you. Full stop. Nobody takes some of those things. So some of those regulations are there. But if somebody is frustrating you, please let us know. They're done in good faith. I hope I've been helpful enough. Then there's access to finances. Somebody is saying access to finances, somebody below 18 is investing, is making good money. This is also a case of regulation. Yes, you're 15, you're making good money, and you want to open up an account, the bank still doesn't recognize you. Well, it is good that you build enough social capital and get an adult that you can trust and probably partner with them if you don't trust your guardian. It becomes a little bit hard because even to get into contractual obligation, we understand you're the exception. You're exceptionally good. But you know, the whole law of the land may not change because of that one person. Because not everyone will be able to make a lot of money at 15. But even if by any chance you do, still, there must be a way of getting clear. For example, I believe you're above 18 and you're here, and you know that youth. Why haven't you partnered with them? And you look very trustworthy. You could have probably partnered with this youth and been of help. That is just a suggestion that I have. But you see, it puts us in a position where certain things are not very easy to just, take off. Just because you're 13 and you're making a lot of money may not warrant that the whole law of the land be changed, that now at 13 you can have contractual obligations and supply government. You're still growing. Yes, you're innovative, but you accept that you're still growing. There is zeal, which is good. There's excitement, which is good, but accept that there's still a growth process that will help you safeguard you in life. Then youth on policy formulation. Yes, whenever we're developing policies and strategies, there's a certain level where you involve who they call the key players and stakeholders. So when we're developing this policy in 2017, yes, you engage, first of all, there's youth representative in parliament. The MPs, legislators are there. Those that are engaged. There are other youth leaders who may be involved in the LC councils, as we are calling particular districts. So all those are levels of engagement where you sit in a room like this, you brainstorm, you share ideas, you take note, you capture everything. Then you go to the next level where the policymakers. Then you go to the next level where the legislators. So people are involved. Though, of course, it has to be refined and made better, and people feel represented. Subject to the resources available, that limits also how many people. So sometimes you have to only pick key opinion leaders or pick key people that could be of help to add to the document that you're developing. Then oil palm project, somebody talks about it. How will you engage the youth as farmers or outgrowers? Whenever there are youth groups, there is affirmative action. Actually, the moment, if you are brilliant enough, now this is a public secret. Everyone knows, but no one has been told. When your farmer group has the word youth in it, it already just excites government. Let me not say that again, because I'm selling the trick. But youth who are innovative, who are doing something, are a hot cake, if you should know. You're innovative, you're doing something, you're a youth group, chances are that you will not miss. We have nothing against the men, but if it's a group full of men who are in their 40s, 50s doing something, and then there's a youth group here that is energetic and passionate, for sure, who do you think will be chosen first? Who has more potential to influence the future? So get into groups. They may not engage you as an individual. Because like I said, you have genuine excitement, genuine passion. But most of us here have been saying there's a knowledge gap. There are a lot of things that you need to understand and appreciate. A quick one on that. While I was excited about business. I read the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So I got excited, I wanted to do business. I learned many things here and there. I got to engage some farmers and, went into selling produce, selling Irish potato, doing all sorts of things. I supplied some markets. When you reach the market, and then people touch you're doing Irish potato, people touch the sack of potato and say, hey, it's even about Otunda mwamyi, meaning that they were so tiny, I hadn't done enough research on the size of potato which was needed in this market. For those who didn't understand, are you selling coffee beans? They're talking about the potatoes. So you need to understand and get a lot more knowledge when it comes to business. But oil palm project, yes, the youth are going to be engaged. Form groups, whatever benefits are there, they're going to give you. Then tax holidays and things like that, they will need to consult URA and do all those things. Because the fact that you're a youth, you're above 18, between 18 and 35, you're so energetic and you're so innovative. Yes, at 30. So to justify why you should give you a tax holiday because you're 30 and the other one is 45 and they shouldn't get a tax holiday, may it be something that has to be discussed at a level where URA and our policymakers are involved. Then finally, awareness to youth for value addition equipment. Awareness is created to the public whenever government is doing any interventions. Now, I know the Soroti project, this is the last question. The Soroti Fruit Factory, I was actually one of those who they engaged with UDC. That time I was still in inspection and certification in Ministry of Agriculture, 2013, 14, 15. They called us from Ministry of Agriculture. I was one of the key facilitators for training youth in all, and by all I mean all, that time there were 8 districts of Teso sub-region. All the 8 districts. And I think it almost 100% of all the sub-counties. I moved with, I think, Dr. Molo and Dr. Tumuine. and myself, we did training on citrus management, on farmer group mobilization with people from MTIC, Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, and we moved in all the subcontinents. So people were extremely aware, and everyone knew the fruit factory. I actually took a picture, which I still have today, standing on the foundation, the slab which was just cast for the Soroti Fruit Factory. So awareness was created. Maybe the part which is lacking was the engagement of the youth to understand that they can take over this opportunity and plant citrus, and in 3-4 years, you're harvesting something. But how many people planted? That is a key question for another day.
Okay, okay. Yes, Jacqueline, you have 1 or 2 questions.
Well, thank you very much. The question posed was, how can the youth in the rural communities access finance? As I'd mentioned earlier, the bank has an affirmative action to reach those who are unbanked, the unbanked populations. So how are we doing that? Through the enterprise development program and financial inclusion program, we are working with different partners to access those youth in groups. So you can have youth in farmer groups and different enterprises that they may be engaged in. So that is how we are trying to reach the youth in those different communities, all those youth who are unbanked. We are reaching them through partnerships with different, we have partnerships with different partners like MasterCard Foundation, we have ABI, ASELI, and among others. So through those different partnerships, we are able to reach, because these partners have access to those groups. So through those partners, we work with them to reach and be able to support those finance those groups. And also, if you have groups wherever you are, please let us know, and we'll be able to reach them through our different branches. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Maxine, I want to pick 3 questions to the 3 remaining panelists. I don't know how you're going to do it, but make sure that there's some gender balance. Okay. We have Jackie, we have Stephen, we have Dennis.
Thank you so much. My name is Sarah Nakafero. I come from Buyukwe. I happen to be part of the AWOLA team, that is Africa Women Leaders in Agroecology. It is taking in 3 countries, and I'm a mentee. I've liked Miss Arinda. I think you should, at least this time, apply to be one of the mentor of the other younger women who are going to apply. And the women who are here and you're doing agroecology, please apply. I would like to share something very small. Afterwards this will come a question.
Please, go to the question,
Okay. One thing I'm sorry to go to the financial side. I've worked in the community, and I've realized that in the community we have a lot of money, we have a lot of finance, but we don't know how you guys are doing to help us. Because one thing I've realized, when you look at all the youth who are here, they come from certain groups who are making savings, and at the end of the year, they share out the money. I know one youth I've been training who shared 6 million and ended up being killed. Yes. So my question is, how are you helping these people in the communities? How are you helping these finances to transform into banks? Because I know we, as we are seated here, we have a bank in us. What strategy do you have to see that this money is channeled into something which is simple and flexible? Then 2, do you have a package like it is on TikTok where I can go and simplify financing? For example, I'm very bad at budgeting, but I know the elites here, the financial side, you can design something that when I hold my smartphone, I can put in my finances. Maybe when I put in some little thing, it will analyze things. The way they go, you take the photos and you take the filters, you put in the music and you put it there. So is there a way you can simplify budgeting and all that. My second thing is, as we empower youth into agriculture, do we mind of its sustainability? Because we see a lot of rising risks from food. What are we looking at? I got to someone who told me came here by Goal, and when I asked, she told me that Goal gives them fertilizers. So I was like, which kind of fertilizers? She said the artificial ones. And I happened to see someone who was even exhibiting the artificial fertilizers. So what can we do to make it sustainable? Because there is also work there that youth can do into making fertilizers that's going into sustainability of agriculture. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, thank you. For the others, please, one question. We're behind time and wouldn't want to hold you much longer. So.
Thank you, moderator. I think in the principle of gender balance, it will go to Jackie, not Jacqueline. My name is Francis from Equity Bank, and I have interest in coffee as an individual. And again, since I'm here for the bank, this question is to ask Jackie to do a breakdown. You hinted on 8,000 you are working with. As a bank, we are interested in understanding ecosystem. Maybe from here, we can see people benefiting. Could you please try to do a breakdown? Are they farmers? Are they traders? Up to the level you make your coffee available to a customer. And maybe lastly, why I'm bringing this, it may address her concern. At Equity, we do ecosystem finance, which addresses the concerns of the youth. So I'm sure when she comes with the different stages, you realize that we can give you up to 2 billion today just being a supplier of a credible off-taker. Understanding your structure is good enough to make you access finance. So what am I trying to say to the fellow youth? At times I forget that I jumped from that bracket. But it's a few months away. The reason that's why I'm saying so, there is a point that was not given much attention. I think 3 people put it across. The point of character. Youth who are in this room, in Uganda today, you can access as much finance you want as long as your character is okay. So we want to use that as an example. Maybe when she comes on board, we shall explore more. But on grounds of character, you are dealing in this product, where do you sell it? Then we use that as a structure to give you financing. So I want to make you stable in this country, that you have financing, courtesy of the different financial institutions, however much I speak for Equity Bank. Thank you.
Thank you. We have 2 more, that one, and then the lady here. I've not yet got a question going to Dennis. So if you're directing the question to Dennis, I'll be the happiest moderator today.
Thank you very much. I'm Kolakong Proskovia Elma from BIM Karamoja and Mukuba de Gol. I have a question for a gentleman on orange.
That's Stephen.
You talked about youth. There are so many things or properties that comes to the names of the youth, but you find different people receiving, not youth. For example, Saruda goats, youth did not get. And you as the government of Uganda, what can you do for youth so that youth can be stopped blamed? Thank you.
Okay. Have you got the question? Okay. No, it's going to the man in orange. I'm not going to change the respondent. How can youth be empowered to participate in government programs and get what is duly theirs, what is planned for by government? Yes.
Thank you very much. I'm Amon Ahewa, and I work with Young Farmers Champions Network. My question goes to Stephen. As a beneficiary of YIA, or Youth Inspiring Youth in Agriculture, how have you made sure that the youth in your community have benefited from you? are you the sole beneficiary, or you moved the legacy down to the community? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, Maxine, the last one is going to be very specific to Dennis. How many of us have a question to Dennis? Okay. I want you to be sure. Dennis is our program coordinator for SNV. Yeah, you can select two.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Dennis. Thank you for wearing. There. My name is Monica Basemera. I'm with Team Up Uganda. It's a consortium of 3 implementing partners. And we're very happy to be here because we're talking about livelihoods and agriculture. But one of the things that we're trying to push is the understanding that youth don't have a singular problem. They have multiple problems: health, access to water, and that's what we're trying to push. My question, therefore, is to Dennis, and the question, one of the things that we did in Mityana was build value addition plant for maize. And then we came across a problem where the district that was supposed to bring electricity did not bring electricity. So now we have a value addition plant without electricity. And I'm wondering, do you have instances that you have realized where there's a very good endeavor or approach, and yet that support is not there from the government? And how have you been able to surmount that? Because many times we set up these things that are supposed to help, as someone also asked in there, but then the wherewithal for the district is not there to support, or the government or the partners themselves don't have the capacity to actually bring forward some services that will complement. So this is in terms of machinery, in terms of electricity, those support infrastructure that could actually help to improve the livelihoods of young people comprehensively.
Thank you. I'm Pasco Chinamasco, Team Leader Bioecosystem Conservation and Development Agency, and an appropriator at Seraphim Farm. We are found in Rubirizi, District, Western Uganda. Well, mine is a recommendation actually to Dennis. You talked about innovation. We are not doing enough innovation and evasion. Yes, we are not doing enough innovation and evasion simply because we don't have a platform to do so. If the government policies or the actions are giving the platform to the youth, then a lot of innovation, a lot of ideas are so much really still in the youth. And the youth are actually exploring the ways onto which they can avail those solutions, innovative solutions, but we don't. Okay, take an instance, for instance, in the corporate or the private owned institutions or businesses. If you brought up programs, especially because we have adapted a small of them, but then we lack partners even to work upon, even support most of them. If we take like Jada Coffee, you establish a program to support innovation. Maybe if you have a program in the corporate social responsibility where you give back to the community, but you organize it specifically, you organize hackathons, you organize competitions for the youth to bring out innovative ideas. I sure will tell you there are very many innovative and creative ideas that can transform the agriculture and the entrepreneur economy as far as this is concerned. So what you have to do, the government has to lay strategies such that they are foundations or they are platforms that support innovations, which are still lacking. And then this one goes to Jada. Okay, she was saying that for someone to access finance these days, you have to be what? You have to be legally registered. Yes, we agree to that. But even in the most of the legalization systems, especially come to CURSB, they are somehow inefficient. I can give you an instance that I did I was registering a company. Actually, I began the process last year in October. We did the name reservation. They were transferring the system. Up to now, I normally quarrel. Even we met those guys of recent, I told them it is your error. So they are making me pay money for around like 3 times into the USB system. Such scenarios, how do you think they encourage or foster entrepreneurship?
Really, if I have bothered to register a company and I'm failing, they are making me pay more than 2 times, definitely it's going to be what? Then another one.
No. I'm going to stop there. Colleagues, we are going to continue the conversation, but in the interest of time, I want us to agree on how to move. You had one recommendation and one question, and I think that is really sufficient enough. Now, I'm going to request my panelists, Dennis, Stephen, and Jackie, to respond in 2 minutes each to each of the questions that have been raised.
Thank you so much for raising those questions, and I'll go straight to a colleague that, first of all, you said Jeddah Coffee should create platforms in form of CSR for innovation. I must say Jeddah Coffee is a private company, so its resources are equally reserved for the farmers, but we also work with young people, and I think I'll direct you to the government to do innovation. If science and technology was here, would welcome that. Now, a question to Francis. They can bring the supply chain picture, and you will see. Like I said, Jeddah Coffee works with farmers. Why? Because for us, we add value, and we process the entire process. We sell roasted beans, we sell ground powder, we sell even the ones that you people like chewing. We practically add value. So for us to exist, we realize that farmers must be at a capacity level where they can supply us by quantity and quality standards that Jeddah Coffee wants. So what we do, as I can say, the farmers are just at the first and second stage. So from the first and second stage, we have about 40% who are there, and these are smallholder farmers. And for your information, Uganda has 1.2 million smallholder farmers who concentrate just on growing and picking. And why is that so? It's because coffee has been a traditional cash crop that people just grow, it's seasonal, and they do not add value. Back then, that's why you hear a lot of chiboko. So most farmers are at that level. Now, we also have farmers who have invested in the business. Like they wake up in the morning, they leave offices, like my friend here or here is in government or any company, now joins farming. They tend to add value where they bring processing. If they could zoom, you could see what happens at processing. There is hulling, there is pulping, basically at that process. Now, few farmers, and I must say they are very few, that makes like about 10% or even 5% of the farmers that are at processing level. These are the farmers that will bring what we call the parchment or green bean. Wubora is my friend here and he knows this, that most farmers, they do not want to do machinery. I heard him saying irrigation. Most of our farmers, they rely on our good fertile soils, they rely on our good weather, and that's it. If you bring in English of buying pesticides or bring what, they just uproot the crop and venture into something else. So that is why in most cases, our focus is on number 1 and number 2, to ensure these farmers meet the standards. As you know, climate change, we no longer have good fertile soils with time. Even the soil needs some fertilizers, and which farmers are not willing to put in. So most of our farmers are at that level. Now, the number 5 that you see right there, number 5 and number 4, that's where Jeddah Coffee takes up the entire process up to number 10. Yes, so Jeddah Coffee starts from practically, we start from number 4 and we take on up to number 10. So I don't know whether I still can apply for it because I'm not a farmer, but I support farmers. Thank you.
Yes, Dennis?
Thank you once again. Yes, Monica talks about access to electricity. I would categorize this in terms of energy. So when you look at First of all, I want to say from SNV perspective, how can we augment or support in terms of the resources that we have? So currently we have energy projects like sustainable energy for smallholder farmers, and then there's also inclusive markets for energy efficient use in Uganda. So the issue we are looking here is actually supporting transition, and we are also looking at affordability. So we connect these farmers to establish companies with operations so that they can access energy resources to boost their production. So you can have more conversation with our SNV team. We can give you more details about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. I think we shall have more conversation, like you said, concerning how to see addressing the bottlenecks within the existing government structures, especially at subnational, at district level, concerning the infrastructure that partners are setting up, especially if it's aligned to agribusiness, especially in agro-processing, like she mentioned. Maybe roads, maybe power, maybe water. These are really big investments that organizations cannot really put money to in the short term. Lastly, let's listen to Stephen, and then we shall close the panel discussion.
Thank you so much, my sister from Abim. Actually, we have a very big challenge in the society. There are a lot of senior youth who are masquerading actually as youth with much more beards than I have, and taking a very big share of what is meant to be for the youth. In 2017, I was called by some colleagues. You come, there is some deal here. There was the Youth Lively Program, and I saw they had applied for about 25 million. But the person who was in charge was actually connected to the district government, the local government. And when I went ahead and found out, he had told the rest of the members that out of the 25 million, we are going to get only 15. So for him, we'll go with 10, of which we are supposed to pay it back. I had to run away. So what I can't answer much about that, but what I can advise as fellow youth, let us be very vigilant. Let us get much more information before we get into these programs, because they are taking advantage of our desperacy. They know we are so desperate, and they really want to take much of the share. So I'm sure you have a district production officer. Go and get all the information about each of the programs that is coming to your district. Then secondly, I'll talk about the question that was asked by Amon. Yes, Inspiring Youth in Agriculture was an initiative that was started by FAO and MAIF in 2017. It was to recognize youth that are doing commendable jobs in our communities, and so that they can inspire other youth and act as mentors. And from 2021, when I was recognized, I've actually worked with about 245 youth in mentorship. And the reason why I believe mentoring is actually very vital in changing this country, especially when we are looking at the youth. Me, as a youth, I have different problems with someone who is 50 years old. We are from different eras. So if I find, if someone gets me and I have done something, I've succeeded, we can relate easily. The problems I have can easily be related with someone of my age bracket. So it is more of like, you've driven through this road and someone new is coming, there is a pothole. This person is almost driving like blindly. So when they find a pothole, you can easily direct them, say, when you reach this point, there is a pothole. navigate on your right. I'll give an example of recent, we were importing a machine worth about 37 million from Turkey. When I went to the tax people, they told us they calculated and I was supposed to pay, of course, the withholding, VAT, import duty. It was coming to about 16 million. I have a mentor also. However much I am having people behind me I'm mentoring, I have someone that I reached out like, but you've imported these things. How did you do it? Like, this is an agricultural machine. He took me through and we applied for what? Exemption. I ended up paying, actually, we have paid only withholding, which was about 2 million. If I did not have someone mentoring me, I was going to fall victim of all that. I know paying tax is good for our country, but of course, you know, if you end up paying everything, you'll end up falling out. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen, and thank you, colleagues. Colleagues, let's put our hands together for the lengthy panel discussion. Now, the question and answer session is supposed to be ongoing. I'm going to read you the social media handles. We have three social media handles for the panelists. We have one Twitter handle at Craft East Africa. At Craft East Africa. The word craft is already there, so you put East Africa after. So you can log on, and then you can be able to post your questions. I know some of those questions will go directly to our colleague, Dennis. The other is at Darling-Uganda. Darling is DARLING _UG. So at Darling_UG. Again, those questions will go to our panelist, Stephen. We also have the one for Jada Coffee, where you have to engage directly with Miss Alinda, and it's at Jada Coffee. Jada is JADA, and the word coffee. So if you have any questions, I'm told she's going to be around supporting you with the registration of your companies. She'll be able to share with you. Mr. OK Joseph, who is representing Minister of Agriculture and More Industry and Fisheries, can be reached on telephone number 0777 296 296. So that number is on WhatsApp. Again, you can ask your question on WhatsApp and you'll get a response. Our financial advisor, Ms. Akulu Jacqueline, can be reached on 0775 355 057. So for all the questions we had about financial inclusion, about access, please share them with her on that WhatsApp number. I'm going to request our panelists to come forward and take a photo, and thereafter invite Ms. Agnes Kirabo, who is the Executive Director of Food Rights Alliance, to sum up our day's discussion with a closing statement. Are the camera people around, the media people? If they are around, please. The panelists, please, Stephen and Jacqueline. Yeah. No, you go back up. That's fine. No, you can stand. Thank you so much. Our dear participants, as we come to the closure of our Youth Agricultural Conference for this year, 2023, I'd like to invite a lady who is well known to us, Miss Agnes Kirabo, Agnes is a seasoned food and agriculture policy analyst with over 16 years of work experience in advancing policy, legal, and practice reforms in agriculture and food governance that promote and protect people's rights to adequate food and that uphold people's dignity. I'm sure I've seen Agnes making media briefs on the food security and nutrition security situation in several parts of Uganda and some of the policy changes that need to be made by government of Uganda. Agnes is not new to us, but for today she's giving us closing remarks on how to position youth as key players in the agriculture sector. I want us to put our hands together to invite her to make an address, but as well close this year's conference. Agnes, you most welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I stand on the existing protocol as it was you observed since morning. And with great pleasure, I take this opportunity today, the 14th day of August, 2023 here in Kampala, to make remarks as we are winding up the Youth Symposium, part of the events in this country to commemorate the International Youth Day. Congratulations. By default, I'm being pushed between me and my core values. I'm a food rights advocate. And by the definition of the human right to adequate food, timeliness, access, and consumption of safe, healthy, and nutritious meals is part of the equation. I apologize on behalf of the organizers. I regret joining you a little late. Jackie said never apologize. I apologize because this wasn't a mistake, and neither was it an intention. But I have a similar convening in the nearby venues around here on food systems transformation. And as a convener, there is no way I would run away before the dignitaries make their remarks. I apologize once again. I have listened to the conversations, and I just wish to make a few statements because I'm between you and your meals, but also between you and your next destinations. Comment number one. There is no free money. There is no free money. All monies come with the conditions. I heard you clapping to an entrepreneur because she offered to register your business for free. If you're living with a disability, starting with mental disability, please approach her for a free service. There are always conditions, and I need to tell the young people, there are always conditions. Terms and conditions always apply. So if you think you're coming into this business expecting free money or free services or offers, then that becomes a funnel and not a business. The second statement I need to bring here to you after listening in is trade is war and not a ballroom dance. You're hearing me? Trade is war and not a ballroom dance. So if we are talking about entrepreneurship, claiming market segments, don't expect to hold your dress, wear your heels, and twist your body around and then walk home or smile all the way to the bank. The third comment I need to make here is that there is global consensus that to achieve Agenda 2030 that many people know as Sustainable Development Goals, the route and the road is through food systems transformation. Towards the end of July, I was in Rome for the UN Food Systems Summit stroke taking. And in that space for the first time, I found World Trade Organization in Rome. I found World Health Organization in Rome. I found the UNFCCC in Rome. I found All Who Matters in Rome. Therefore, I congratulate the conveners. The real jobs are in agri-food transformation, but not as a ballroom dance and not as a funeral where we are expecting bonanzas. It is only the committed that are going to take charge. The other issue I need to tell you related to that according to the National Development Plan 3, the agro-industrialization program, Uganda anticipated to create 180,000 jobs annually only under the agro-industrialization program. I don't want to take you to the gospel according to Matthew, but at least when you read that, you know that government is soul is willing, maybe we can challenge the body. 180,000 jobs. The good news is here. We are being told that in Uganda, we are around 45 to 40,000 million people. Sindio? Those are mouths. For me, when I look at a human being, because I do not have, my eye has no access to the stomach, I look at the mouth. Claim a segment of that population that for at least it's one of your products every day. Even if there were 1,000 or 100. And you're sure they will eat your product every day. That's enough for you to go home. The second last comment I need to make here is that these stories of we are not involved. Who did you consult? Eh? They are very old stories. Very old stories. Because we know that they are predetermined questions. You don't pay attention to the content. You came with your question. Who did you involve? How are you involving the youth? And therefore, when the shooters learned to shoot without missing, the birds learn to fly without flapping. So we also come with the predetermined responses. I need to tell you this. We ever had such questions in civil society? Until when we realize that it is not productive. It is counterproductive. So if you're told he was involved, what do you go home with? So we decided to organize ourselves better. We decided to organize ourselves better. And I'm appealing, please let us organize this complaining lamentation voice better to competently and constructively engage in decision making. I appeal to Craft, I appeal to Goal, I appeal to SNV, I appeal to all of the partners here. Let us invest in organizing the youth voice competently to influence decision making, including their own decisions. I appeal. At least I had an opportunity to look at the SAFE project framework. Enabling environment is limping behind there. All what is being flagged, skilling, technology, they are all very good. But yesterday I came across a statistics that indicated by 2025, all decision-making positions, whether in church, in shrines, in business, in parliament, in judiciary, in where, 78% of them are going to be occupied by people under 30. Are you still doubting? When I was young, the church priest was an old man. And they would even claim that they take so many years in seminario. Look what the chaps coming out as fathers these days. They are all under 30. So it is real. A couple of weeks ago, if it wasn't last week, the Judicial Service Commission sworn in 86 magistrates. Did you look at them? Did you look at them? They are all under 35. So while the youth are taking up leadership, we need to work on their capacities to making meaningful decisions. When they are being brought to table, they don't come having mastered the book of lamentation. They have to come having mastered the book of liberation. And perhaps some gospels. And put competent alternatives on the what? On the table. Are we together? We get 78% by 2025 are going to be the ones occupying all of the leadership positions. And whereas somebody said it is uncomfortable sitting next to listening to a person of 50 and above, I'm happy I'm not yet there. I'm telling you, we need to prepare the leadership that is not going to mislead us. And I'm here to commend the team that I did host at FRF for the youth presser on Saturday. Bravo, kudos team, you had a competent paper. I congratulate you. So ladies and gentlemen, let us get organized. Government has no time. In Parliament, if a bill is presented for the first reading, committed to the committee has 45 days by law to come back to the floor of Parliament, having done stakeholder consultations, and then the bill is presented for the second and third reading, and it is passed into law. But for us, we want them to come to Kamwenge and come to Kodito, go to Nebi and get to Zombo, simply because we shall ask them, who did you? I assure you that law is going to pass without you. But I also assure you that the law can be passed with your competent contribution if we get all organized. And I pledge I have mastered the art of mass mobilization and coordination for policy engagement. So I'm seeking for the job craft, SNV, goal. I'm here on behalf of FRA to ask for that job. Give me that domain. And I organize for you, all of these people and others who are not able to come here, into competent forces that are going to give us voice and power to influence decision making. Today not being a speech day, for me, I want to conclude by 2 quotes. And the first quote is written in the book of Timothy, 1 Timothy, chapter 4, verse 12. I'm Anglican. In Anglican, when you announce the book, you wait for everyone to read. So I'm reading from 1 Timothy, Paul's first letter to Timothy, verse 4. Chapter 4, verse 12. It reads, don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, all your youth. I'm assuring you, we are not looking down on you. What touches me most is that the verse goes and says, but, that but changes everything. You fall short of whatever is written after the but, we shall look down on you without any apology or regret. But set an example for the believers in speech, all in word. What else? In conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity. You fall short of any of those, we owe you no apology. We shall look down on you. In speech, in love, in purity, in action. They told me to wrap up what has been said here. And I think that verse wraps up on quite a number of things that were raised here, including if your neighbor, your sister cannot give you 20,000, don't disturb Equity Bank. The last quote that I need to end with is by, I had a quote by Nelson Mandela. And this is what Nelson Mandela the Great had to say. Sometimes it falls upon a generation to be great. You can't be that good generation. Let your greatness blossom. You can't be that generation. As we celebrate, recommit, and reaffirm that we are going to be a better generation. Somebody here said in 2013, I was in all of the 28 districts. See, I told the people, I stood on the slab. It is 10 years later. If the people you talked to were 22, they are now above 30. If they were 25, they are now above 35. And so they are out of the bracket because youthfulness is transition. So as the world is transiting, remember that your youthful age is not a curse, neither is it a privilege. It is the age that many have lived years before and many are going to live years later. The condemnations that you're making in these rooms shall be made on you 10 years when we come back to this podium. I wish you fruitful, gainful, faithful, purified love, youthful 2023 for God and my country. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the organizers of this mighty Youth Symposium in Agriculture to commemorate the International Youth Day 2023, by virtue of the powers entrusted to me, I declare this symposium closed.
Colleagues, we should have clapped louder than that. Because we know that we are meeting again next year in the same venue. Now, lastly but not least, I'm going to invite Mr. Bashir, who is our lead convener, to give us the guiding parting notes, and then we shall exit the venue. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Rogers. I think Rogers deserves a very strong hand clap. He has really done the work quite very well, so thank you so much. My work is actually to direct us to where we're going to eat from. It is Kib's restaurant. They told us that we walk like this, then towards the end, then we have to branch on our right. So we shouldn't get lost. My name is Bashir Kasekende. I'm the agri-food sector lead at SNV Uganda, but also the country project manager for climate resilient agribusiness for tomorrow. It's a multi-country project in Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. So I'm just here to, first of all, extend our appreciation to all of us. But before I do that, I want to apologize to the young people. The reason why I avoided this microphone and come in after closure, because I'm a former youth. But we had some youth that had been lined up to say something. But maybe just ask you to stand up and wave. Isaac Okero from Alito, wave to the audience. They were supposed to say something, but in the interest of time, they agreed that we waive that. So thank you, colleagues. And the other one is Edina Abigaba. Edina Abigaba, yes. Yes. And Okero Fiona. Akelo, sorry about that. So thank you for considering our request. I want also to thank everyone that is here. The young people, I know you've moved quite distances, but you have really labored and ensured that you come and you share with all of us. The panelists, of course, the ministry team, I've really bothered so many. I can see Sylvia Pima there, much as you are two, but you can stand up for recognition. She's the Youth Office and Minister of Gender. She has really been supportive. And of course, from the Minister of Agriculture here, Joseph, we have been working very closely with them. The partners, AVSI team, I think you can stand up for recognition. AVSI team, leadership. I don't know, representative, okay, yes, thank you. Then Raymond from Yadinet, yes. The BRACA team, BRAC. And of course, Equity, you've already seen the Equity team, you've seen the entrepreneurs. But I also want to appreciate the events team, the extreme team, the organizers. I don't know who wants to stand on behalf of all of you. Yes, thank you. Members of the press, I know they have been taking my photo saying, no, that doesn't look. I said, it's not the photo, it is actually me. Yeah? But yeah, they kept on taking. So we thank you so much for the work that you've done. I don't know whether I've missed anyone, but I know there are different organizations that have actually come and they have been part of this journey. But also, I think the hotel needs to be appreciated, much as I had a comment about Nescafe. But I think that was just a minor. We expect the best, especially during lunchtime. So let me just not take a lot of time. I know it is almost 1, almost lunchtime. I just want to stop here and wish all of you safe travels. We'll end with a stanza of national anthem. I had forgotten that one. So thank you, Maxine. By the way, Maxine Campide here, she's our communication person. She has been behind all these organizations. Please, Maxine, stand up for recognition. Maxine, stand up. Yes. Okay, I think now it's time for our national anthem. Thank you. Thank you.
Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike, umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.